Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Love Coach Scott Catamas, and it is Saturday Night Alive for you, the Global Peace Tribe. And tonight's show is a powerful one. It is all about peace. It's International Peace Day, International Peace Weekend. We are collaborating with Ben Bowler, who has brought in a remarkable group of people. You're going to hear from Ben. We've got Opium Moon that's going to be playing music. It's a really, really special show. And I want to welcome those of you watching on Facebook and invite you to come on into our Zoom room. It's really easy. If you just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, and register. It takes about a minute. And what's great about that is then you can come into our Zoom room and it's much easier for you to chat. And believe me, we already have a very dynamic chat going on in our Zoom room because we're talking about not just, la-di-da, we all want global peace, but how do we really create peace in our lives? What are the practical ways of creating peace when there is conflict in our family, conflict in our work, conflict in the polarization of different ideas of how to manage the pandemic? So we're having a very dynamic conversation already, and we want you to join us. And it's easiest if you're in the Zoom room where you can be participating in the chat, easier to connect with our remarkable presenters that we have with us tonight. So go to globalpeacetribe.com and join us. Also, that way, once we have your email address, we're the only ones, we don't give it out to anybody else, but you'll get an email that lets you know how to get the replay of tonight's show and the 76 previous shows that we've done. So it's a great idea to join us. We have a lot of upcoming events that we want to let you know about. And if you're watching, it's because you're interested in peace, you're interested in some of the amazing artists and presenters that we've got with us tonight, and it's going to be a very special show. So welcome aboard. I also want to give a big shout out to everybody watching on Unify. And I also want to thank John and Summer Raymer and the Sign Network. Thank you so much for getting us out to so many people. And now to tell us all about the show and introduce our presenters, here's my presenting and producing partner, Deborah Giusti.
Thank you, Scott, and welcome everyone to what is now our 77th show that we have produced every Saturday night since the lockdown in April 2020. And this is the second show of season 6, an incredible mix. And we're going to be launching season 7 in October. So we're so happy you're joining us. And I want to thank you so much for your donations as you register in the Zoom for your Zoom link, because we do this show by donation. So we deeply request and appreciate all your support. And that's what empowers us to do a quality show every single Saturday night. And we now have a new donation portal, which is supportgpt.com, which allows your donations to be tax deductible. Well, this is going to be another amazing show, celebrating Peace Weekend and International Day of Peace, honoring the peacemakers and way showers. So this is an incredible, powerful weekend as being honored as Peace Weekend. This year marks the 40th anniversary of the UN resolution in 1981 declaring the International Day of Peace, which has been taking place on September 21 every year since then, where literally millions of people gather, pray, and meditate for peace. So being a stand for peace is one of the most important things we can do these days to counteract the chaos, the polarity, the confusion that's happening in our world now. And Saturday Night Alive is taking this opportunity to honor the international peacemakers and way showers that really made a difference of peace in our world. We're also exploring how we can create peace in our daily lives, because we understand as within, so without. So we are going to seek the balance of tools for inner peace while celebrating those creating global peace. And we're thrilled to have Ben Bowler from Unity Earth, who has created the show by bringing amazing guests and musical artists who have a strong mission and stand for peace. We are also featuring visionaries who are instrumental in creating Peace Weekend, which is set to become the first global public holiday. So join us for this historic moment on Saturday Night Alive, and let's meet those presenters now. I would like to present Avon Madison, Pathways to Peace. She's the president and co-founder, steward of Pathways to Peace. She's a peace builder, international organizational consultant, advisor, and mentors with 5 decades of experience. Welcome, Avon. And we're going to be featuring also Jeremy Gilley from Peace One Day, whose effort led to the 2001 UN resolution that forever fixed the date of International Day of Peace to be September 21st each and every year. We are also pleased to have Jonathan Granoff, who's president of the Global Security Institute. He's an attorney and author, international advocate, emphasizing legal and ethical dimensions of human development and security, with a special focus on advancing the rule of law to address international security and threats posed by nuclear weapons. Welcome, Jonathan. We are also going to have Ambassador Muzi Hailu. He's a peace activist who has worked with national and regional and international level in promoting a culture of peace, building human right relationship, environmental protection, and building bridges for international cooperation for the common good, and much, much more. And we're pleased to have Reverend Deborah Moldow. She's an ordained interfaith minister. She's the founder of the Garden of Light, an online platform for the emerging global spirit, and she's director of Evolutionary Leaders. Welcome, Deborah. And I want to give a shout out to Ben Bowler, who's the executive director of Unity Earth, empowering worldwide solutions for unity, purpose, and peace. He has a history of innovation, spiritual tourism, global events. He's dedicated to healing, uplifting, and uniting and inspiring the world. And tonight we have an amazing group of musicians. We are going to be featuring Opium Moon, who is a Grammy Award-winning musical group of celebrated musicians, composers from Iran, Israel, Canada, and the US, whose innovative playing of the magic creates what fans call world music from another world. Welcome so much. We're so glad to have you with us. And we're also pleased to have Pir Shabda Khan, who is the spiritual director of Sufi Rayanat International and the director of Chisti Sabri School of Music. He has appeared worldwide in musical concerts all over the world, and his beloved Taman Khan is with us. She's a poet, spoken word performer, as well as an author. Welcome to you both. And we're so happy to have Era Rabaska of Light Warriors. He's a musician, label owner, peace ambassador. He founded the Band of Light Warriors, a record label with the highest frequency record. And his mission is to serving universal language through the unifying power of music. And we're also thrilled to have Baba Israel. He's a hip hop theater artist, poet, educator, and consultant raised in New York. And he is a part of the core members of the Living Theater. Welcome, Baba Israel. And every show, we always make a fundraising effort to really use the power of community to bring in the green love that we can send back out to the world to do some good. And tonight, our organization is going to be Purpose Earth. Purpose Earth's mission is to fund and mentor purpose-driven people and projects with creative solutions to our global challenges. And they have awarded $140,000 to 23 grants and recipients in 15 countries all over the world. So tonight, I invite us to use the power of community and donate to this incredible organization, whether it's $5, $500, it all makes a difference. I'm going to be posting the links in the chat room and on Facebook so that you can donate, and we're going to share more about this later. And now I want to turn it over to our collaborative partner, Ben Bowler. He's the Executive Director of Unity Earth, which empowers worldwide solutions for unity, purpose, and peace. He uses a platform such as Unity Earth, World Unity Week, and Peace Weekend, and he's dedicated to facilitate greater unity and wholeness for the whole family and all of life. And it's been such a pleasure to work with you, Ben. So thank you so much. Share about what people are going to see and experience tonight.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction of everybody. And thank you, Scott, both of you, for this wonderful platform. What an honor to be here for the 77th episode of Saturday Night Alive. It's been so rich and delightful working with you and the team to get us to this moment. I'm truly excited. I think people can get a taste and a feel for the diversity and for the incredible luminaries that have been brought together here, and in particular, orientating around the International Day of Peace and Peace Weekend. And really tonight is a celebration of that. And just the significance that there actually is an International Day of Peace around which so much is being orientated. It's incredible. If you look across the landscape this weekend, from the Shift Visionary Summit to the Distributed Dance Party, Earth Dance, which has been going for decades, so many events and initiatives and platforms are spinning around this one sacred stake in the ground, this great pole around which we're orbiting, which is the International Day of Peace. And what an incredible thing tonight to be able to bring together co-visionaries, co-creators, folks that have laid down their life and given their energy to establishing and to marking the International Day of Peace, building that field for us and growing that gravity for all of us, that we can grow it and we can continue to empower it together forever going forward. It's an amazing honor, Deborah, to be here with Avon Madison. We're going to be hearing from Avon a little bit later, co-founder of Pathways to Peace, and instrumental in the early observance of the International Day of Peace right back to the early 1980s. And of course, it's the 40th anniversary this year of the original UN resolution, which established and created the International Day of Peace. And what an honor to have Jeremy Gilley also on the show, on the same platform from Peace One Day. We'll be hearing from Jeremy a little bit later on. He does amazing things. He's got this incredible vision. They measure at the moment that 1.5 billion people are aware of the International Day of Peace, and they want to double that. Jeremy and his team and everybody they're working with want to double that over the next 5 years. It truly is becoming the world's first planetary united, universally observed day. And let's hope soon followed by Earth Day and many other days to come. But it is that stake in the ground. So we are really honored to be here with you, Deborah, Scott, and everybody, to welcome, to celebrate this Peace Weekend and the International Day of Peace. Peace Weekend goes right back to 1982. And Avon's been educating me about this in 1984 when it really first happened around the world. It was the culmination of our entire Unity Earth Road to 2020 and Caravan of Unity, which led to Peace Weekend last year. So this is beautiful to be back here in I think the first year of a new era on Earth, and to celebrate this Peace Weekend and the International Day of Peace. It's my great honor. So let's get into it. And it's my great, with excitement and enthusiasm and divine joy, to introduce my brother, the one and only Mr. Eric Rabuska from Light Warriors, a beautiful soul, an accomplished musician. Eric came and sang with us in Ethiopia for U-Day 2018 at the African Union and Sacred Sites and down to Shoshimani, and is just a beautiful soul brother with these highest frequency records and everything he's doing to use music to help uplift the spirit and soul of the planet. Welcome, everybody. Please put your hands together for Eric Rabuska.
Thank you, Ben. Such a pleasure to be here. What an honor to bring peace into the world through music, and to do so this weekend especially. Not too long ago, my band released an album called Book of One, and it was in service of an organization called Why Hunger. They battle food insecurity around the world, and we had 9 versions of this song from wonderful, amazing artists around the world. I believe Quadro Spiri has been on the show previously. He was one of the artists that contributed. Lila June Johnson, I think it's well known to this community. And so I'm going to do a song called One, and I hope you can sing along with us. Inhale, let your breath flow like water. Drink in the nourishment so balance don't falter. Walk in creation as all gods on your altar. Rocks of Gibraltar, we stand strong yet softer. We foster upgrades, reprogram your DNA. Shine light in your airways, release you from your learned ways. See you out and by swordplay as we decode the haze. When lost in the maze, we climb towards one. Volume of unity, one divine light shining individually, one collectively transforming community, one piece in the human family, yeah. Listen, hear the wailing of the ancients, cellular memory amid impurity over hatred, body impatience over billions of years. When living like vagrants, our spirits in arrears. Fear, it's what the media's peddling. They're in your face, in your ears, they're misguided meddling. Don't be settling, our love's continually spreading to all corners of the earth. Foundations are settling. One volume of unity, one divine light shining individually, one collectively transforming community, one piece in the human family, yeah. Paradox of oneness, one integrated system. Your diversity is what keeps the system living. We will not know peace until we celebrate the differences. No hierarchy in God's kingdom, neither no supremacists. All people, all equal, so basic, so simple. One day the world will wake and we will all surrender. Give up the guns for the power of love. No, we're never giving up until we reach the rising sun and move as one. Reparations for the past hurt, one. Decolonization of the whole world, one. Healing up the generations, walk as one. One love, many nations move as one. Reparations for the past hurt, one. Decolonization of the whole world, one. Healing up the generations, walk as one. One love, many nations move as one. In constant motion, all people can live harmonious. Too much suffering reverberates all eras, moments. Parents struggle though they think their motive's true. While in heaven in every single voice of ancestral rule. All answers lie within to mend the generational sins. Children healing awakens all past transgressions. Recognize the shame of history, let it pass through. Breathe together, give voice to the truth as one. Reparations for the past hurt, one. Decolonization of the whole world, one. Healing up the generations, walk as one. One love, many nations move as one. Reparations for the past hurt, one. Decolonization of the whole world, one. Healing up the generations, walk as one. One love, many nations move as one. One love, many nations move as one. One love, many nations move as one. Move as one. Move as one, piece in the human family. Yeah. So this next one is a short intention for the globe. It's called No More Division. All these whims of misinformation causing divisions. We're on two sides of the same coin. Time to look through untainted prisms. Damaging mistakes repeated over thousands of years. Break free the vicious cycle. Live a moment without fear. What we want now. No more division. No more division. No more division. peace prevail on earth. Thank you all so much.
All right, brother Eric Robuska from Light Warriors. That was awesome. What a beautiful high vibe to begin our show tonight. Thank you so much, Eric. No more division and one. How beautiful. And you can see there Eric's fantastic platform and his work there. The Book of One is an incredible compilation CD with many extraordinary musicians from around the world. And you can see the highest frequency records going from strength to strength. Eric Robuska, Light Warriors. Thank you once again, brother, for being with us. So we are going to move. No more division. Wouldn't that be nice? No more division. We're going to move now. Part of our intention for the show is honoring the peacemakers and the way showers. And really, our next speaker epitomizes what that means to be a way shower and to be a peacemaker. Avon Madison. Avon is an extraordinary visionary with an incredible history, co-founder of Pathways to Peace, instrumental in those early conversations, which even led to the eventual establishment of an International Day of Peace and the early observances of the International Day of Peace. Avon is a recipient of numerous Lifetime Awards and Peace Awards. Avon Madison, welcome to Saturday Night Alive. Let's get you unmuted. There we are.
It's
Welcome,
an honor.
Avon.
It's an honor to be here, and may I live up to everything you say. and to Scott and Deborah for just creating this field in which we can all gather in goodwill for the common good and the highest good, for the benefit of all beings.
Beautiful, Avon. Now I'm going to share you have a slideshow. You've prepared a slideshow to take us through those early days of the International Day of Peace and how it came to be. And right back to the very, very early 80s. I've been learning so much and getting an education from Avon about this incredibly important piece of history for anybody in the peace movement, in any part of the peace movement globally. And this is something I'm really excited to share with you, Avon's wisdom and her story. So let's get into it, Avon Madison. Co-founder, president, and steward of Pathways to Peace. Take it away, Avon.
All right. Well, first of all, I need to tell you, this is an unrehearsed dance between Ben and myself, where I'm going to be reading my my notes, and at the same time, and at the same time, he's going to be dancing with the slides. To begin, we all follow in the pathways of those who've come before us, especially at critical moments in human history and evolution of humanity, where divine ideas become manifested. Such occurred 40 years ago in relation to the co-creation of the International Day of Peace, and humanity is now at this crucial moment again. Thus, the importance and relevance of the International Day of Peace today. A brief origin of this day and about the initial observance. In 1981, a long-held idea came into manifestation to create a universal day of peace through a United Nations resolution. An initial draft included the date for this peace day to be September 21st for spiritual and practical reasons. However, in order to have it accepted, it was changed to occur at the opening of the General Assembly during the third week in September to remind the gathering of all the heads of state and ambassadors of their common commitment to peace above all differences of any kind. I'm going to now just briefly quote from a couple of items of the original resolution, which I will, Ben or I will post in the chat box. But it was, it said this decision was made to make it possible to contribute to strengthening such ideals of peace and to alleviating the tensions and causes of conflict, both within and among nations and peoples. It also said that The International Day of Peace shall be devoted to commemorating and strengthening the ideals of peace, both within and among all nations and all peoples. And there was a further point within that that just said, may the International Day of Peace become Peace Day every day. Just a side note of how important this was. In 1981, what is so extraordinary about this UN resolution was that it occurred during a crisis of a very, very divided world. At the height of the Cold War, when nuclear war was imminent. And Jonathan Granoff knows very much about this. What is so historic is that this resolution was agreed upon unanimously by all member states who established a universal day of peace. That just shows that at some moment there was such an outpouring of goodwill that permeated the General Assembly. And you can switch slides now. That permeated the General Assembly, that this moment occurred, that in 40 years ago, that has become even more significant as we are now in a multi-crisis intersection within humanity. The first observance of the International Day of Peace, we found out that absolutely nothing was happening at the United Nations or anywhere else in the world, except the traditional minute of silence that opened the General Assembly. So Pathways to Peace initiated the Peace Wave, the minute of silence, moment of peace at noon in every time zone, as a unitive act of peace, not only for the International Day of Peace, but for every day. And after that, and that also began a focus point where people could take part in the International Day of Peace, either during that particular day or during Peace Weekend, Peace Week, and it eventually all evolved into Peace Month, which was September. The first celebration of the International Day of Peace occurred in San Francisco, the birthplace of the United Nations, where the charter was signed. And it was joined by people in over 70 countries. And this became historic because it was focused on not only, this was before internet ever existed, so this was all spread by word of mouth, by letters, and by faxes, essentially. And it was intergenerational, intercultural. And what was so extraordinary also was that at the noontime Peace Wave, it was the first time that a minute of silence was ever broadcast on television and called the Sounds of Silence throughout the world. Beginning in 1984, Pathways to Peace began summarizing the reports of all the activities that were occurring during the International Day of Peace, including all those during Peace Weekend and Peace Week, etc., to the Office of the Secretary General. And I think you have a slide that shows that, Ben. And this was at the request of the Office of the Secretary General, and Pathways to Peace did that for the next 24 years. In the year 2000, the United Nations and other sources estimated that over 1 billion people were now engaging in the Universal International Day of Peace. As originally intended and hoped for in 1984, and as Ben spoke of in his opening remarks, the International Day of Peace became a worldwide movement of peace building, being expressed in extraordinarily diverse ways. And this is such a magical way that the divine works out, expressing peace as unity in diversity. So I will conclude with a quote from Nicholas Roerich, who was a peace builder, mystic, philosopher, and very extraordinary peace ambassador in many ways. But this is the next slide will show a painting by him, which he did in the Himalayas. And I will now give this quote. Positive creativeness is the fundamental quality of the human spirit. Let us welcome all those who, surmounting personal difficulties, propel their spirits to the task of peace building, thus ensuring a radiant future. Thank you.
Thank you, Avon. And if you want to just come back on camera just for a moment, thank you so much for that beautiful walk down the history of before there was even an International Day of Peace, and everything that you've done, Avon, and many colleagues and co-creators, Pathways to Peace, a platform, and it's a tale full of incredible characters. People who have given their life to really establishing what we now have as this International Day of Peace. It didn't always exist. And thank you for taking us a little bit, just giving us a little snapshot into the history and the origin of the International Day of Peace in those early years of celebrating Peace Weekend, Peace Week, and Peace Month. And thank you for being with us and for sharing your light and that beautiful wisdom with us today. And I even mentioned the original intention was to have it on September 21. But then for, all sorts of different reasons, that didn't quite work out from the beginning. It wasn't until Jeremy Gilley came along, a young actor from the UK, who, must be said, didn't really know that there already was an International Day of Peace, but had a fierce, burning desire to go out and establish a day of non-violence, of ceasefire. What an incredible testimony to his activism that he was able to pull it off. And you can see his films, Peace One Day, his website, and now everything they do for the International Day of Peace is growing bigger and bigger and bigger. Jeremy's got an incredible lineup of celebrities that he works with, from Jude Law to Coldplay to Sting, who's headlining this year's Peace One Day celebrations. But you go back to 2000, and Jeremy was just a young activist with an idea, with a dream, and he went on the road and he was relentless, and he eventually came across the attention of Kofi Annan, and the story is well documented in his film Peace One Day. Urge you to go and check it out. But this is the reason why the resolution was passed in 2001, 20 years ago, forever fixing the date on September 21, and what a gift that has been to everybody in the peace movement worldwide. And so I recently sat down. Scott will be ready to play this video. I recently had the good fortune to sit down with Jeremy and ask him about Peace One Day and his contribution as we get ready to celebrate the International Day of Peace 2021.
Morning, Ben. Lovely to see you, mate.
Thanks so much for coming on the show to talk about the International Day of Peace. And this weekend, all around the world, people are celebrating in different ways. And, it's a really incredible history, Jeremy, that people can find out by going to the Peace One Day website and looking at those beautiful films that you've made over the years. But it's so exciting that we're now celebrating the 20th anniversary of the UN resolution that created the International Day of Peace on September 21st. Tell us a little bit, Jeremy, about your reflections over the last 20 years of commemorating the International Day of Peace.
Well, listen, Ben, it's an amazing privilege. I feel very sort of honoured and humbled, to have been going on the journey that I've gone on, for the last 20 years. There was a Day of Peace, as we all know, set up in 1982. That day didn't have a fixed calendar date, and it wasn't a day of ceasefire and non-violence. We played a small part in establishing the 21st of September as the Day of Peace, as a day of ceasefire and non-violence, a moment for all of us in our homes, communities, schools, and places of work to kind of stop, reflect, and decrease violence. And so, there's been a long history with a lot of amazing people involved, in making the Day of Peace the success it is today. And so to have played the part that I've played is just been incredible. That's how I feel as I sit back. I'm going to do this with you, and we'll get up tomorrow, and I'll be working as hard as I did, 20 years ago. My passion and enthusiasm for, promoting the International Day of Peace as an opportunity for us to unite, for us to come together as one in a moment of intercultural cooperation, and out of that kind of collectiveness comes strength and hope, and an opportunity that if we stand together, we can decrease violence, we can tackle the great big issues that humanity faces. And that's what the day represents. So every day, you, Ben, and Unity Earth and all of the wonderful organizations that support this day, we're all doing a great thing, because what it all boils down to in the end is three things for me, right? It's three things that I'm thinking about constantly. It's like, how many people can we expose to the message of Peace Day? How many people can we expose? And then there's another number, it's a smaller number, is how many people are now aware, right? So the 21st of September, 20 years ago was established as the Day of Peace, 21st September, a day of ceasefire and non-violence. That was a new moment, wasn't it? That was a new day, if you like. And over the 20 years, we've all worked ever so hard to try and get a lot of people to know about it. At this point, about 1.4, 1.5 billion people are fully aware that the 21st is a day of peace. What I want to see happen by 2025 is 3 billion fully aware of that day by 2025. I believe that to be completely possible. And that's what it's all about. And why is 3 billion people aware of the day so important? Well, it's a really simple answer. Out of all of those people who are aware and who observe the day, a portion of them are going to be less violent. They're going to not bully. They're going to reconcile their differences. They're going to bring their family together. They're not going to fight. They're not going to stab. They're not going to shoot. And that's what we need. That's what the world needs. It needs to demonstrate that if for one day we come together as one, then things can be different and violence can be decreased. And that's why, it's worth working unbelievably hard to expose so that a load of people are aware. And as a consequence of that, people are going to decrease violence. At this point, Ben, on the 21st of September, more people are thinking about peace than any other day of the year, fact. And on the 21st of September, we are looking at the day where there is the largest decrease of violence on any given day. Incredible, incredible. And that's what we need to work for as hard as we can. And it's amazing.
It really is amazing, Jeremy, particularly when you look at the challenges that the human family is facing in so many different ways. And as you said, there was a day of peace before from the 80s, but that was floating around and it wasn't fixed on the calendar. So you came along and were pivotal in getting that resolution 20 years ago to lock it down now every year on the same day on the 21st of September, which is an incredible contribution to the peace movement globally to have this day anchored in every year. Now, we're just a few days away from the broadcast that you're putting together on the 21st of September. So tell us, Jeremy, what are you excited about this year and how can people tune in and support and connect to what you're disseminating and broadcasting on Tuesday?
Yeah, people can go to peaceoneday.org and have a look at the broadcast where we have brought together unbelievable artists, amazing actors, thought leaders, and individuals from all sectors of society who are trying to save humanity. And that's a broadcast that, is about 8-9 hours long with amazing panels. The panels, for me, there are 3 areas that we can be violent, Ben, as we all know. One of them is we can be violent towards each other. One of them is that we can be violent towards the resources of this planet. And let's remember, no climate action, no peace, right? No climate action, no peace. So once we start protecting resources, we are effectively manifesting peace. So our panels are protection of each other, the protection of resources, discussions around that, and of course, wildlife, animals, right? Because of course, if we went to a plant-based diet, for example, we'd have a much better chance of surviving. And so, these 3 areas are really important. And we'll have loads of discussions about that, but we'll also have discussions about ESG and is ESG to forward in relation to humanity's survival. We'll also have a conversation about, COP26, and we're delighted to working with UN Global Compact to talk about the role of business. So, amazing conversations, amazing entertainment, and I hope people tune in and watch the show at peaceoneday.org.
Well, thank you so much, Jeremy. Your passion and your energy for this is really infectious. So I hope everybody out there watching this has caught that enthusiasm, and to celebrate and commemorate this International Day of Peace just next Tuesday, go to Peace One Day, have a look at the incredible lineup, and even more importantly, engage in the different ways that you're being invited to participate and help spread the movement. And let's double that number of people who are conscious of the International Day of Peace over the next 4 years. Together we can do it. Jeremy Gilly, thank you for being with us on Saturday Night Alive here in Peace Weekend as we get ready for the International Day of Peace.
It's a pleasure, Ben, and well done for all the amazing work that you've been doing over the years, because it's only by working together that we can create peace one day.
That's so true. Thank you, Jeremy.
Hey, Ben, I've pulled up the Peace One Day website. And so I just want to let people know again where it is and get a little taste of it. It is peaceoneday.org, peaceoneday.org. And let's all go there. When you see these websites, when you see the people we're promoting, please go to the website if you can. Log in, give them your email address, because this is how we build our global peace tribe and how we move things forward. And how wonderful that you were able to have that interview with Jeremy Gilly. What an extraordinary person he is.
Yeah, it's fantastic, Scott. And as great energy, as you can see, is a lot of enthusiasm and focused on really getting the world to observe this Peace One Day, which is a beautiful vision and a great thing to dedicate your life to. And as you said at the end there, it's only by working together that we can create Peace One Day or anything truly great. And, I just want to now acknowledge the sponsors for the show tonight, who are a lot more than just fiscal sponsors financially. They're really doing incredible work around the world to empower grassroots activism and community change right across the globe. And that's Purpose Earth. And our friends at Purpose Earth, we're going to hear in a moment from the founder, Emmanuel Kunzelman. But what Purpose Earth are doing, Scott, is an incredible way by lifting up others who have a vision, lifting up community groups, grassroots groups, women's groups, indigenous groups, so many different groups that we know if we can empower them, if we can resource them, then we can really have a huge lever on many of the problems that are being faced at different levels in different communities around the world, including the global climate crisis and everything else. So purposeearth.org, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Purpose Earth, and we're really grateful for their sponsorship of tonight's show.
Great. And tell us about the gentleman we're about to meet in this video.
Emmanuel Kunzelman is an extraordinary visionary. He is an evolutionary leader and somebody who's had incredible success in the business world, who's now dedicating his life to really the upliftment of consciousness. He's a dear friend, a close friend. We work closely. Purpose Earth is a primary initiative of Unity Earth, but it's really Emmanuel's vision and his passion. Just like Jeremy Gilly for Peace One Day, Emmanuel Kunzelman is driving Purpose Earth with his vision and generosity of he and his wife, Laura Rose. They founded Green Heart International, one of the world's big cultural exchange programs over the last 30 years. Of course, that's suffered enormously through the transformations of the last few years. And Emmanuel goes from really strength to strength in empowering Purpose Earth. We'll hear a little bit from Emmanuel now, Scott. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Emmanuel Kunzelman, co-creating founder of Purpose Earth, and we're delighted to be here tonight sponsoring Saturday Night Alive for the International Day of Peace and International Peace Weekend. It is certainly our pleasure to support this noble project that over the last 40 years has helped foster peace throughout our world. Purpose Earth is a global initiative to raise funds and spirits and supports purpose-driven people and projects around the world. We raise funds to promote projects and ideas for environmental restoration, cultural collaboration, and community activation. We brought Muslim and Jewish communities together in the Middle East. We've helped young women from 27 countries around the world find their voice, and various projects in Kenya restoring fishing to Lake Victoria and employing dozens of people, to name just a few. This is your chance to support a profound ripple of global change and donate today. Remember that 100% of your donations go directly to grant recipients, deserving grassroots organizations around the world, truly working to make a difference, to make peace, to make the world a better place. Joining us all together in the Holo movement, that grand movement of movements, moving for conscious change in the world today. So please go to purposeearth.org where you can donate, or better yet, sign up for a monthly donation to help support these most deserving groups and individuals working to raise funds and spirits. Thank you for your interest, your support. Have a wonderful International Day of Peace. Let's all make peace together. Blessings to all of you. Thank you very much.
What a beautiful, beautiful man. Now, I know we have a couple more videos to play, and we're going to do that. But Ben, I would like to bring up right now the way that it's so easy for people to donate. So everybody, you know how to do it. Grab your cell phone, put it on your camera function, and go towards that little dinosaur. And you'll notice up at the top, the QR code helps us to open, and click open. And that's how we're going to donate to Purpose Earth tonight. It's a wonderful way to do it. And you know, it's last week, our donor was so grateful. And she said, you know, Scott, I was really touched by all the people that donated $3, $5, $7. So even if you can only afford $7, it really means a lot when we see so many people coming together to support. So let's all right now donate to Purpose Earth. By the way, all the money they bring in, every dollar, goes right back out to these grants that they're giving. And a lot of them are going to people that normally would not have a chance to bring forth their message or to do their work. These grants are changing the world. And all of it, all your money is going to make its way back to people who are changing the world. So that's a really an important part of it. Anything you want to say, Ben, before we go to the next video?
No, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Scott. That's an easy way to support. This is great. As you said, 100%. All the money goes to the grassroots organizations where it's needed. Manuel's beautiful. There's an incredible team. Like anything great, there's always a great team. And many of them are here with us in the room tonight. Lauren Singer, Rhiannon Catalyst. It's an extraordinary team of people that make this work. And it's all about serving those change makers that have a vision and getting in and empowering others with resource, mentorship, and network. It's a beautiful, beautiful design, and we encourage everybody to get in and support this. And finally, Scott, what I want to say before we hear from some of the grant recipients and have a look at Purpose Earth in a little more detail is this is the model. No one person can do a lot these days. It's really about how we can support each other, how we can get behind and lift each other up. And Emmanuel and Purpose Earth are modeling that and doing it beautifully and having real impact on the grassroots around the world. So let's have a look at one of their videos, and we have 2 short videos to play.
This is the time for world to come together and connect and embrace.
Because I brought to life the exact intent I had for this project, to upskill people whilst preserving our environment. There's no better joy.
Purpose Earth grant and mentorship program has helped us to achieve our mission and goals.
This is the time that we need to let go of all of our barriers and the things that told us to not do, and let go of everything and really participate in oneness, humanity, and really care for each other.
Nazreen Sheikh, the young woman who hosts that little video, Scott, grew up in Nepal and was a victim of human trafficking, working in sweatshops as a very young girl, was able to escape through being very fortunate, and has now dedicated her life through the work of the Empowerment Collective of helping end human slavery. Incredible, passionate. She is such an amazing young woman. So that's a great example of what Purpose Earth is doing. And they're only 18 months old and they've already had such an incredible impact. So we're really grateful for the opportunity to let everybody know here about it on the Saturday Night Alive community. Get behind and support because it's making a difference and we can make more difference together. There's one more short video to roll for Purpose Earth. Thanks, Scott.
So then, I saw her on your Wednesday night call or Wednesday day call. And oh my God, she blew me away. Absolutely. Such an extraordinary story. And honestly, it's changed my reality about my clothes. It's like, wow, where did these clothes come from? Did they come from a sweatshop? So her voice has impacted me. And I imagine her voice is going to impact thousands, perhaps even millions. Here's the next video.
We are living in bewildering times, a climate of divisiveness and unrest. The systems we have become accustomed to are buckling under the pressure of this transformation. These challenges could be an unprecedented opportunity to create a new future that honors all life. Perhaps this global pattern interrupt has given us a moment to consider who we are and why we are really here. It has been said that the three most important moments in your life are when you are born, when you die, and when you find your purpose. Could it be that as a species, we have a collective opportunity to awaken to a life of greater meaning? To rise to the challenges that face us? To create a world we know is possible in our hearts? If you have spent more time in nature during this period, perhaps you have noticed how she is thriving without this relentless pressure. Isn't it comforting to know that the Earth knows how to regenerate and rebalance herself when we give her a moment to breathe? We are incredibly adaptive as well. As a new normal emerges, humanity is demonstrating great resilience and ingenuity. In this next chapter of humanity, what if we created our systems to operate symbiotically with nature, to support life and each other? The Earth unites us, regardless of nation, religion, race, political affiliation. We are all indigenous to this beloved planet. These seeds of the new Earth need to be watered for them to take root and thrive. It is the mission of the Purpose Earth Fund to support this emerging creativity. This global initiative is a grant and mentorship program focused on empowering individuals and nonprofit organizations doing important work in the areas of societal restoration, community activation, and environmental preservation. Purpose Earth funds such initiatives with support from its generous contributors. If your heart feels called to support humanity and our planet, we are accepting donations at www.purposeearth.org. Funds are distributed directly to our Purpose Earth grant recipients, allowing your contribution to make a powerful immediate impact on local communities. All donations assist young social entrepreneurs, passionate community leaders, and purposeful organizations to accelerate their endeavors towards sustainable change. Help us fund the consciousness revolution from the grassroots up.
Beautiful. What a beautiful video and what a beautiful message. And Ben, before we move on, I want to encourage all of our people in our Zoom room to do two things. What is your purpose? Like she said, it's so true. Like there's birth, there's death, and there's when we're in touch with our purpose. So I want to encourage those of you who are listening and watching and have access to your computer Zoom room. What's your purpose? Pop it in the chat box. And for those of you that are still seeking your purpose or your purpose is changing, that's okay. That's a lot of what's going on right now. It's in this pandemic, it is a big global timeout. And for a lot of people I know, it's like, okay, what I was doing is done. What's my next chapter? What's my next purpose? So we're all being drawn together to support each other. For those of us who know what our purpose is, what a blessing. For those who are now in reevaluation, that's okay too. So we want to hear from you. And If you haven't donated yet, please do donate. So there's the way there's our Q code, or you can go to purposeearth.org if you don't want to use your camera in the Q code. So donate and tell us your purpose. And I'm really looking forward to reading what some of you write. This is how we get to know all of you. Ben, anything you want to add?
Oh, no, gratitude, Scott. Thank you for that. This is something worth supporting. The more we support Purpose Earth, the more we can really model supporting each other. And, it's one thing to give to a cause, but to give to something so worthy and so noble and so high vibe as this is really essential. I want to thank Emmanuel Kunzelman and Laura Rose and everyone at Purpose Earth for everything they do. Some of you may know they're also the primary sponsor for World Unity Week in 2021, which happened in June, enabling us to give that platform free to the world. So they're empowering so much at so many different levels in a multicultural, intergenerational way. And again, Lawrence Singer is doing so much work on that as well. So keep an eye out. You'll be hearing a lot more about Purpose Earth as we go forward. And please give generously. We need it energetically, financially. It goes a long way. And we really love and welcome your support. So we are coming into the next musical act. And by the way, can I say a little bit later on, we've got Opium Moon Grammy Award winners who are in LA ready to play live for everybody. You can see them there. We're just crossing to say hello and wave at you guys. And we can't wait to hear songs from your new album a little bit later on. But before we get to Opium Moon, it's a real treat to have a dear friends and someone who is leader of a global spiritual community, the Dancers of Universal Peace, and that is Pir Shabda and Tamam Khan, to bless us with their extraordinary, uplifting Sufi music. Celebrating, we are Peace Weekend and International Day of Peace. Pir Shabda Khan and Tamam Khan.
Let go of your adapted notion of being separate. Wake up to the reality of one being. We are one being, even though we may be different parts of a body, but if our kidneys and our liver and our lungs don't get along, not going to be very healthy. We need to find a way to work together. We have universal responsibility as parts of our body. Where can we put that universal responsibility? In the places that are closest to us, to our family, to the people that are close, our community. So start locally. But we are singing, this melody is from Zimbabwe, and the words, nothing exists but one. La ilaha illallah, illallah, la ilaha illallah, illallah, la ilaha illallah, illallah, la ilaha illallah, la illallah, la ilaha illallah, illallah, la ilaha illallah, illallah, la ilaha illallah, illallah, Allah, la ilaha. Okay, I'm gonna make a little time out, tell you a Nasruddin story, a story about the great master Nasruddin. And he's at lunch with his colleague. He takes out his lunch, he looks at it, it's a sandwich, a turkey sandwich, and he says, oh, turkey sandwich, every day it's the same turkey sandwich. I'm so tired of these turkey sandwiches. His colleague says to him, Hoja, master, he says, Hoja, it's so simple. Just ask your wife. Make you a different sandwich. He says, oh, no, you don't understand. I'm not married. I make my own sandwiches. We have to change. La ilaha illallah, illallah, la ilaha illallah, illallah, la ilaha illallah, illallah, la ilaha illallah, illallah, Allah, la ilaha
Oh, that is so fantastic. I love your energy, and it's just beautiful. There's a couple questions. People want to know, what's the instrument you were just playing?
This is a bouzouki. The Turks certainly say it's a Turkish instrument, and naturally the Greeks say it's a Greek instrument. The Irish have a bouzouki as well. It's four courses of 2 strings, and it's great fun to play.
Oh my God, it's a beautiful instrument. And then the next question is, tell us a little bit about this website.
We can imagine that we have, if someone were to ask me, am I Christian, I would say yes. And if they asked me, I was Jewish, I would say yes. And if they said, am I Muslim, yes. Am I, the religion of music, yes. And so the religions are vehicles. They're to take us like our car. And so if I'm in the Toyota religion or the Buick religion or so on, but when we get to the destination, it's one place. And so Sufi, nobody knows where the word came from, but it means wisdom. And so we're a wisdom family. Ruhaniyat means the way of the soul or the way of the breath. This is our Sufi family. We have a lineage. I had a master or a teacher named Murshid Samuel Lewis. His teacher, Hazrat Inayat Khan, and it goes back and back and back, even before we can remember. And so we have a great privilege of being in that lineage of blessing and training into the universal heart of awakening to the one.
Beautiful. Well, people can learn more about you by going to, I'm going to spell it, ruhaniat.org. Ruhaniat, ruhaniat.org. Then go into the index, and that's where you'll find Pure Shabda Khan. Learn a little bit more, and it's a beautiful website. And thank you for bringing peace to our world and doing it in my favorite way, through music.
Yeah, and blessings and love to each and every one of you on this call. May each of us find the strength within us to be of benefit, to bring loving kindness and compassion into our action, into everything we do, to be kind to each other, to be tolerant. It's such a joy to be with such glorious beings. And my dear brother is up next, Jonathan Granoff. I think you'll be deeply delighted to hear the wisdom pour out of his heart through such a way with words. So thank you so much for allowing us to be part of this.
Beautiful. Hope you'll come back again to our show. And before I go to Jonathan, I do want to read some of the wonderful purposes that you, our Global Peace Tribe, put down. And it was really wonderful to read, and you can still pop it in there. So some of the people that we heard, and a lot of people, by the way, I'm seeing a lot of people just now so appreciating the amazing music and the stories that you shared. So, thank you for that. I'm having to scroll up. Terry Russo, one of our regulars, talks about wanting to move into her divine purpose of her own wellness practice, incorporating telehealth and finding a way to convert her property into an ashram. So that's beautiful. Scrolling up, my gosh, all these beautiful things. I'm just going to choose a few. Shauna writes, my purpose, bringing people together so that they feel belonged and are loved, feel that they're in belonging. That's a beautiful purpose, Shauna. Scotty Satori says to bring high vibe music to the planet, support my mentors, my coaches, my guides on the sidelines. Well, Scotty, you are a wonderful support system for Global Peace Tribe. Thank you for all you do to help our social media. And thank you for everybody who's donated. A lot of people talking about their donations. Kat writes, to help all beings heal themselves through energy medicine. Drina Bailey writes, my purpose is to empower myself and to help others to be empowered. Terry also writes, my purpose has always been helping people in healthcare, but with COVID, it's so much more difficult. And so learning how to make our way through those things. And then finally, the last two, Sarah writes, my purpose to neutralize and radiate unconditional love. Annette writes, to unify people in democracy using music. So thank you for all those wonderful ways that you're showing up. And thank you to Purpose Earth for inspiring us to tune in and to think about our purpose. And now to introduce Jonathan, let's go back to our co-host tonight, the wonderful Ben Bowler.
Thank you, Scott. That was great, hearing people's purpose. It's a time of really getting connected deeply to our individual and collective purposes. Thank you, Scott. Even as we are now celebrating Peace Weekend and the International Day of Peace, I've been learning so much from Avon Madison about those early days. And one thing that's inescapable, and this audience I think will appreciate, is that there is a deeply mystical aspect to this. There is something beyond which we can just easily comprehend and logically process. There's another element to it. We felt it just now in Shabda and Tamam Khan's music, that deep sense of belonging and joy in the music. And there is a very powerful Sufi dimension to this show. And we're about to hear from Jonathan Granoff, I'll introduce, and then after Jonathan, the extraordinary Opium Moon, who we met through Jonathan as well. But the whole thing has got a kind of a beautiful mystique. Now, let me tell you about Brother Jonathan. He's representative to the United Nations of the World Summit of Nobel Peace Prize laureates. He is a co-founder and president of the Global Security Institute, and he is the spiritual son of the Sufi saint Bawa Muhayyadin. Please welcome Jonathan Granoff.
And thank you so much for responding to the call in your heart that said, let's bring the human family a little closer together. A lot of people on this Zoom have a similar call, but they haven't all said yes. They haven't all said, I'm all in. You can't jump across a chasm in 2 leaps. You got to go all in. But once you taste the sweetness of going all in with that big yes to that great mystery that brings us all together, you can't go back, because nothing is as sweet as the love of humanity. Because within that love is the secret of the illumination of the soul, because that's what awakens that love. And that's what goes back to that. So my brother Shabda Khan told a Mullah Nasruddin story. And, you know, there's a tradition that you got to always tell 2 Mullah Nasruddin stories. So I feel obligated to tell one. I had another plan. I had a plan to quote some of the things on peace of the summits of the Nobel Peace Laureates. But I'm going to tell a Nasruddin story first, and then I'll go back to that. Okay. So Mullah Nasruddin was by a pond, and he had a big bowl of yogurt, and he was throwing it into the pond. And this great scholar who'd read all of the spiritual books and knew all the spiritual practices of all the traditions came by and said, Nasruddin, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm going to get very rich. You see, that pond is going to turn into a big pond of yogurt, and I'm going to sell it. I'll get very rich. You see, this big bowl I have used to be just milk. And my wife took a few spoonfuls of yogurt, put them in the milk, just let it sit out in the sun. And lo and behold, it turned into yogurt. So I'm going to take the whole bowl of yogurt, put it in the pond, and then I'll be very rich. And the man said, Nasruddin, you're crazy. That's crazy. You can put yogurt into the pond all day and it's never going to turn into yogurt. And Nasruddin said, oh, you think I'm crazy? No. You're crazy. Taking all of the great teachings and all of the great practices and putting them into the mind. The mind is never still. The mind is not a place where transformation can happen. It would be far better if you just took a little bit of the truth and put it into the purity of your heart, in the way my wife took a few spoonfuls of yogurt and put it into the purity of this bowl of milk. So we don't need a lot of the teaching, but we need to put it into the center of the heart. So I'm going to give a few principles of the great teaching that brings peace both to the individual and to the whole. Why do we have to think about the whole now? Because the spiritual admonition of the wise has always been to open the door of spiritual growth and inner peace, is to see the human family as one, to see your life as like teeth on a comb, equal to the lives of others. No one's above you, no one's below. Everyone, like leaves on a tree, is sustained by the same force, the same mysterious giver of life. That spiritual admonition to see the human family as one has now become a practical necessity. Because without a perspective of pursuing security globally, human security, to deal with real human problems, we can't protect the climate, and thus we can't protect the phytoplankton, which is dependent on the temperature and the health of the oceans. And the phytoplankton provides 50 to 70% of our oxygen. So at least every other breath is a gift from the health of the oceans. And we can't protect the oceans at a national level. It requires global cooperation. We can't protect the climate without global cooperation. And as far as I know, pandemics don't recognize passports. Nuclear weapons present the fast burn. There's over 13,000 in the world today. If less than 1% were to be used, it would throw in excess of 5 million tons of soot into the stratosphere, rendering agriculture insufficient to sustain civilization. And yet, my country, the United States, has pledged almost $2 trillion to modernize the arsenal stimulating a global arms race, leading to no greater security. Military security did not bring security in Afghanistan or Vietnam, nor will it in Kashmir, nor will it in Palestine and Israel. It is the quality of the heart, and that comes from the heart, that comes from the wisdom. The vision of wisdom that the United States began with was an ought to strive for, that all are created equal. That's an ought. We have to strive for it. The ought for today is embodied in the golden rule. We know that every religion and every wisdom tradition has that golden rule to treat others as one wants to be treated. When you bring that into your personal life, it brings coherence in your family, in your community, and in the nation. But today, nations have to treat other nations as they want to be treated. But on a deeper level, it's also descriptive, because the life within all lives, the light in the eyes of any human being you meet, is the same as the light in your eyes, and you do treat others as you do treat yourself. And if you have harmony within yourself, you will treat others with harmony. If you have peace within yourself, you will treat others with peace. If you have discord within yourself, you will treat others with discord. So it's not just a prescription, it's also a description. After World War I, crushing burdens were put on the German people, and we reaped the chaos of Nazism. After World War II, the world created the UN, but importantly, the Marshall Plan, which was an act of generosity that created trading partners, greater security, greater liberty. That generosity in practice is both practically necessary and spiritually coherent. The same principles apply. The deeper principle that my teacher, Baba Mahayadin, often said is separate from yourself that which separates you from others. On a very superficial level, it's our false identities, our temporary identities that separate us. On a deeper level, it is anger, falsehood, jealousy, pride, egoism, hastiness, all of the things that affirm the ego mind. And what liberates us from that and what brings us together with others? Love, compassion, patience, tolerance, peacefulness. These are the qualities that not only bring us together externally, but mysteriously bring us together to the luminosity of the soul, and through that to the one within all of us. And that is the purpose of our birth, to discover, to realize, and become the witnesses in our lives of that great generous power that we call love. When the nations of the world begin to take this message, we call this human security. I call it realistic human security. The same principle that will bring peace to each of us is the same principle that will bring peace to the world. May God's love, may God's beautiful gift of this breath and this moment be fully appreciated by all of us, such that we would have hearts filled with gratitude and the courage to accept the blessing of love and unity, for therein is the peace that we deserve. All praises are to that great mystery. And my brothers and sisters, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Now I'm going to switch gears and introduce my really dear friends, Opium Moon, Hamid Sadi, MB Gordy, Itai Disraeli, and Lily Hayden. They won the Grammy Award in 2019 for their first album. They are playing music that is timely and timeless. It's about the heart. It's present and it's transcendent. It's simple and it's layered and complex. And it's easy and it's transformative and it's challenging. And they are the real deal. God bless you guys. Let it flow. Thank you.
Back to room sound. Can you hear us in the room?
We can all just done with the beauty of music.
Thank you so much.
And below that, you can go to opiummoon.com. There's two M's there. Getting an echo, by the way. I think you may knock off one of your mics. But definitely,
let's do it here.
Definitely go to opiummoon.com, opiummoon.com. And they're going to give us another song later today. And then our entire after show is going to be dedicated to Opium Moon. We're going to listen to their new album and they're going to share with us about the creativity. But one of the things that's so beautiful about the four of you is that you're from completely different cultures, including different Middle Eastern cultures. And yet the way you come together to create such beautiful music, that is such a living example of creating peace. And I just love to open it to anything that any of you want to share about that. Maybe Itai, growing up in a kibbutz, growing up in Israel, and here you are making music with beloveds from different countries. Oh, now we need one of your mics to work.
So maybe you can do mic. Can you do mic now?
Yeah.
Mic.
There we go.
Go.
Just go.
You're on. Okay. So we're so honored to be included in this illustrious opportunity and panel, and loving being here today. I feel kind of weird standing in front of everybody like this.
It's all right. Speak up.
Yeah. So again, what I wanted to say is that being part of an ability to create peace in action is a blessing. My brother Hamid, who's from Iran, is some tour master. You know, every time I can speak to him and ask him, how did Rumi say it in the original? How did Hafiz say it in the original? You know, we can talk about the things that unite us. And it's really interesting because we just, as was Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, the very same phrase, La ilaha illallah, and Od. It's the same thing in Hebrew and the same thing for the Muslims. We actually, the unity and the fact that we all come together on the one, is something that built into our music. So our music is about listening, it's about paying attention. And, you know, I come from a kibbutz in Israel that believed that the creation of a new person can be a human being that it's involved in peace, it involves in sharing. So being able to do this in action is a real blessing. And you know, the tremendous luminaries of Opium Moon, really they shine their light on everything that we do. And it's really absolute pleasure and honor.
It's an honor to have you with us. I'm really looking forward to more tonight. And thank you, Jonathan and Ben, for bringing Opium Moon. And you know what? I'm going to put Jonathan back on for a moment because
can't we hear who each of them are and where they're from? We heard Hamid. We have two to go.
Well, sure. Let me go back then.
It's not then. Iran, Israel, Canada, US,
United States.
Jewish, Muslim, and Christian backgrounds. But what we do is we are informed by our cultures, but we listen and we make space, and we are able to translate what is the information that's being given to each other with the music through our own hearts, and then come back with something that's new and something different than we could have imagined on our own. And that's what's so exciting, and that's what that to me is, to all of us, is the template for how to make peace in the world, is listening, respect, space, and the possibility of something new that you didn't think of before.
Thank you, Lily. Thank you so much. I'm putting Jonathan back on because he was so generous in wanting to go into the Opium Moon invitation, but we didn't get a chance to learn about Jonathan's website. which is gsinstitute.org, or the Global Security Institute. And what you're doing, Jonathan, is important. So I did want to give you a minute to share with us a little bit about this website and the work you're doing, and maybe how we can support that.
Sure, thank you. Well, in the 1990s, I was at a luncheon with General Lee Butler, who had been head of the Strategic Command, George Bunn, who was the drafter of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which is the third most important legal instrument of the 20th century, Senator Alan Cranston, and Mikhail Gorbachev. And we were discussing how, very simply, if we get every issue correct, but we don't get the issue of nuclear weapons correct, it won't matter. And so we've created an organization focused on advancing the rule of law, global cooperation, diplomacy, and the abolition of nuclear weapons. So we have a program called Parliamentarians for Nuclear Non-Proliferation and Disarmament, which has over 800 parliamentarians in over 80 countries. Senator Ed Markey is one of our co-presidents. My board includes Mikhail Gorbachev, Jane Goodall, Oscar Arias, and of course we're very related to the summits of the Nobel Peace Laureates, and I'm the senior advisor and representative to the UN of that group. And I wanted to just get this one quote in there because I fought for it to be in one of the summit declarations, and it's so appropriate for this. It is, "Nothing is as antagonistic to peace as the human mind without love, compassion, and reverence for life and nature. Nothing is as noble as the human being who chooses to bring love and compassion into action. Nothing that we can possibly do will satisfy us as deeply and be as valuable to others as our own intention and commitment to bring loving kindness and compassion into action."
Beautiful. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow. All right.
We are one. We are one. We are one. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. We are one. One love. We are one. One love. We are one. One love. Yeah, yeah. One love. 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 One love.
Thank you, everyone. What an amazing show tonight, as usual, and what an incredible theme, and all the speakers, and the music is amazing. I want to thank you for all your donations to Purpose Earth. It's incredibly important now that we all come together and share our resources, our green love, to really make a difference in the world. So thank you so much. And also, I really invite you from Saturday Night Alive to help promote the shows. You know, word of mouth is really golden. I'm going to put in the chat room our video trailer that you can share, our promotional video for the next show, and just share it out with our link to globalpeacetribe.com. We really appreciate that. Another thing we'd love to request, if you want to volunteer and help us grow this, I'm going to be putting a link in the chat room for volunteering, or if you'd like to sponsor in the future. We really appreciate sponsors, and that's what helps us produce the shows that we do. And we have a new website coming. We're going to be introducing that next week, along with lots of technology. And so we love your support and your donations to help us do that. And also this month, we're going to have our supporter party. We do this every month. It's really great. And we always bring one of our favorite presenters and musicians. And this time we are going to feature the Twin Rays, Shakina and Sananda, who are incredible divine-like humans sharing the ascension path and the awakening path. They're amazing. And we're also going to have Joanna Oneheart, who is an incredible musician that opens the heart. What's great about our supporter parties is their meeting style. So we get to be together and meet each other, and it's a little bit more informal. We also do some breakout rooms so you can actually meet each other. So if you've donated $50 at one time, anytime for the Global Peace Tribe, you'll be on the invite list, or if you volunteer with us. So, and we're going to do that September 30th, 6 to 8 p.m. And they're really fun. So that's how that works with our supporters party. And Scott, would you like to share a bit about upcoming shows and our broadcast partners?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to encourage everybody to still continue donating to Purpose Earth. And again, if you've already donated, thank you. And please do also continue to put into the chat box where you're from and what your purpose is. I'm loving reading that. It's really beautiful. And again, if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, you still have the opportunity to come on into our Zoom room. We got a lot going on today. So we still have some speakers like Baba Israel, who's going to do spoken word. We've got more music from Opium Noon. Whoops, and somebody needs to mute. There's some big, I think that might be Deborah. Anyway, this is the technology thing. It still happens. It's an amazing thing. So come join us by going to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, and come into our Zoom room. Come join us. And again, I want to thank all of our broadcast partners, of course, Unify, which carries us every Saturday night, and thousands of you watch us on Unify. I want to thank John and Summer Raymer, the Sign Network, hundreds of Facebook groups, pages watching us that way, Alan Steinfeld and his YouTube channel, and all of our other broadcast partners. Thank you very, very much. Also want to start talking about our next week's show. And next week is going to be the last episode of this particular season. And we are celebrating 18 months of Saturday Night Live. We have not missed a single show, a single weekend. And so we're going to have a pretty amazing celebration. And to share a little bit more about that celebration, here's our promo video for it.
Ready for community inspiration and magical moments online? Join prominent luminaries, musicians, magicians, and comedians on Saturday Night Live for the Global Peace Tribe. This is your chance to relax. Enjoy uplifting entertainment and inspirational messages from the comfort of home. Together, we are creating a new paradigm.
Welcome. I'm Larissa Stowe, and I want to invite you to the upcoming celebration of Saturday Night Alive's first 18 months. What I love about this show is that it's an online sacred space where thought leaders from many disciplines come together to share and exchange wisdom. This is a meeting place for our great global tribe to come together to support and catalyze the quickening of human consciousness. On September 25th, we will be sharing some of our special moments from past shows, while many of our key luminaries join us live. You will see Reverend Michael Beckwith, Marianne Williamson, Greg Braden, Deepak Chopra, and many others. Beloved musicians Cornflower and Johanna Beekman will be providing live music, and there will be some surprise special guests joining us as well. So don't miss it. Please join Saturday Night Alive on September 25th. Please register at globalpeacetribe.com for the invitational early show and exciting after show.
Absolutely. So join us next week. It's going to be a very, very special show. Also, I want to invite all of you to our Sacred Sunday show. You know, I do 3 shows every week, Friday night, Straight Talk, where we go into deeper conversation. Last night we had Lily and Itai from Opium Moon on Straight Talk, and we had a beautiful conversation. You can go back and see that by going into our YouTube channel or just go to my Facebook page. And then tomorrow morning on my Sacred Sunday show, I've got Maria Stark, and we kind of complete our weekend of exploring peace and how to create peace through music, through artistry. Any of you who were on the show last week, she was one of our musical guests. And Maria has an amazing ability to verbalize and communicate about the challenges going on in our world with a lot of love. So there's going to be some music and there's going to be a quality of conversation. So join us tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern. And on the Sacred Sunday show, and I know a lot of you, I see a lot of our friends come to the Sacred Sunday show, and it's very interactive. So join us tomorrow morning for that. And I'm going to check with Deborah to see if there's anything else that Deborah wants to share.
Basically, this is an amazing show, and I just love everyone on it. Every show is special, but this one is very special. So thank you all for being here. And Scott, did you want to share about Straight Talk? Because I'm going to put that in the chat room.
Next week's Straight Talk, I'm sorry we don't have a poster for it yet, but next week's Straight Talk is a relationship-oriented show. And we're going to have 4 love coaches, myself, Trish, who's my regular teaching partner on Straight Talk, Michael Dyer, and Jessica Osterday. And we're going to talk about how to be authentic in relationship while still being compassionate. You know, oftentimes, remember when you were in junior high school and somebody would say to you, nothing personal, but, and then they would proceed to like offend you. Well, oftentimes that still happens as adults. There's like this idea that by being authentic, it gives me the right to not be compassionate. And that's not true. So we're going to talk about finding that balance of being true to ourselves, being authentic to our thoughts, our beliefs, our integrity, while being compassionately understanding of others. So that's next Friday night. And Straight Talk is every Friday night at 7:30 Pacific time. So hope you can join us. And thank you. And now to move the show forward and introduce our next guest, here is our wonderful co-host for the evening, Ben Ballard.
Thank you so much, Scott and Deborah. And as Bobby Israel has said there in the chat, thank you for the dedication to creating these spaces that really bring these conversations to life. We're going to be hearing some amazing music from Baba in just a little bit. Let me take a moment just to reflect too to Opium Moon. The feeling here in the room, in the chat, and those watching was just electric when you were performing just before. We can't wait to come back to you. We know we're going to close the show with another live song and then go into a very, very special after show where you're going to personally introduce the brand new album, Night and Day, that you're releasing. Was so profound and uplifting when you were playing before. So thank you so much on behalf of all of us, and can't wait to come back to you. You guys are awesome. We're all in love with you. And thank you, Jonathan Granoff, for facilitating that beautiful, powerful, and divine connection. Something very magical is happening. We're in the 11 days of global unity. We're coming up to the International Day of Peace. We're in Peace Weekend, this solstice, the equinox. And my next speaker is somebody who, for decades, has been representing at the United Nations the prayer, may peace prevail on earth. She is the director of the Evolutionary Leaders and a beloved friend, an extraordinary visionary and beloved co-creator for so many of us. And that is Reverend Deborah Moldo. Reverend Deborah Moldo. Deborah, it's wonderful to have you with us.
Oh, thank you so much. And good evening from Mexico, Peacemakers. I'm so delighted to join this program dedicated to Peace Weekend, Peace Month, and especially the United Nations International Day of Peace. Thank you, Scott and Deborah, and our wonderful host, Ben Bowler, for making this special gathering possible. As Ben mentioned, I had the honor of representing the prayer, may peace prevail on earth at the United Nations for more than 20 years. And my mentor and guide there was none other than the beloved Avon Madison. Avon introduced me to the International Day of Peace, and I worked with my dear colleague, Monica Willard, and many other peacemakers, including peace pioneer Jeremy Gilley, to expand observances both within the UN system and also around the world. So at the UN, we worked with the Department of Public Information, now called Global Communications, and across the globe with other organizations, with schools, with musicians, with religious and interfaith groups, and with individual members of what we might call the Global Peace Tribe. I love that term. And so it's wonderful to be with all of you here tonight. I want to start with a few words from this year's Peace Day message by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. He says, "This year's International Day of Peace comes at a crisis point for humanity. COVID-19 has turned our world upside down. Conflicts are spinning out of control. The climate emergency is worsening. Inequality and poverty are deepening, and mistrust and division are driving people apart at a time when solidarity and collaboration are needed more than ever. As a human family, we face a stark choice: peace or perpetual peril. We must choose peace." He goes on to say, "Peace is not a naive dream. It's a light in the darkness, guiding us to the only pathway to a better future for humanity. Let's walk the pathway of peace as if our lives depended on it, because they do." A powerful message indeed. How can we walk that pathway of peace? How can we be the light in the darkness? How do we say the big yes that Jonathan mentioned? How can we not only stop warfare and violence, but build a true culture of peace? Well, we can start with the one annual day of peace that's shared by all nations and all peoples, September the 21st. For me, the heart of the day is the minute of silence that circles the globe at 12 noon in every time zone, what Avon calls the peace wave. You might want to go to your local peace pole, gather with friends, or simply get quiet wherever you are. Take that sacred minute of silence and visualize a world of peace. In fact, let's practice together, okay? Let's get still and breathe, feeling our hearts beating together. Let's see our precious living blue and green planet filled with healthy plants, animals, and people living in harmony, unity, and peace. Let us see the light of our divinity shining through every pair of eyes. And let us say together the simple prayer: may peace prevail on earth. Will you say it with me? May peace prevail on earth. Thank you. I think we're ready. And one more thing I'd like to add. 43 members of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle joined together to co-write a book called Our Moment of Choice: Evolutionary Visions and Hope for the Future. Now, I know that all of you understand that the choices that we make in this moment are critical for the future of life on this planet, nothing less. Evolutionary visions means we see humanity evolving. And so we know that a new era of peace is possible, and hope for the future, because we are all dedicated to co-creating a culture of peace. We are the Global Peace Tribe. and it's up to us. May peace prevail on earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. And just want to make sure that anybody who's just listening, you can go to ourmomentofchoice.com, ourmomentofchoice.com, or to evolutionaryleaders.net. And we've got actually all 4 of the websites. Each one of them has a lot of really valuable things. I certainly am eager to check out Our Moment of Choice. I know some all the people that have written in the book have been on our show. Gene Houston, Bruce Lipton, Lynn McTaggart, Greg Graydon, Deepak are all friends of Saturday Night Live, the Global Peace Tribe. And now we have a new friend, Deborah Moldow. So thank you so much, Deborah. What a wonderful presence in our world. And tonight on our show you are.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, all of you, peacemakers.
Beautiful. Ben, you just keep bringing in one amazing, wonderful person after another.
Well, Deborah's amazing and has done so much and continues to do so much to advance the cause of human consciousness on the planet. Thank you, Reverend Deborah Mulder, for being with us. And Deborah mentioned the Global Peace Wave. Let me just do a really quick shout out here, Scott, for the International Day of Peace Peace Wave. You can join it at 12 o'clock in your time zone. There's a Facebook group. We'll grab the link and get it in the chat here and share this around. This is being co-hosted from Fiji to New Zealand and Australia, and right around the international dateline at midday in each time zone. That beautiful peace wave, the minute of silence and the moment of peace as it goes around the planet on the 21st of September, initiated, way back 40 odd years ago and going strong today. So really a very powerful way for us to demonstrate and show up for the International Day of Peace and the Peace Wave. All right. So I am supercharged now to introduce our next artist, Bubba Israel. And Bubba Israel is many things: an educator, a consultant, spoken word and theater artist. Bubba is passionate about that creativity is about building community and connection between people and around the world. He's amazing with what he does, and I'm so excited now to introduce to everybody on Saturday Night Live, Bubba Israel. Brother Bubba.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. Much love to all the panelists. Thank you for sharing space. I want to give a big shout out to Scott for being such a warm presence and for making everyone feel welcome. Big shout out to Deborah as well. So thank you to our hosts and all of our panelists for the inspiration that you provide. And I'm grateful to be here in a challenging time. I know all of us are facing unique challenges in this moment at home and in the world, and I'm grateful to share space with you. I'm going to share some improvised and some written moments, and let's see where it takes us. Now, raw drum, raw tongue, don't spit the venom, spirits surging, emerging from the shadows. Bad blows from the 5-0, sad woes, survival. Some hold a Bible, I hold a mic with a recital that's vital. No idol worship, no devotion to the worst of it. My disperse the worthless. This earth is our sacred home. Can we make it home? I see the tension building, feeling the feeling revealing. Is this our last stand? I'm hanging at the bandstand with my man Stan. What's the plan? Same as it ever was. Take action, love and compassion. It was never easy. This journey got me queasy, uneasy, not breezy, wishing I was in Fiji or Tahiti. Not to be greedy or seedy, I just need a break from this all-out assault. I'm reaching deep in the vault. I'm speaking the raw, teaching the law of the universe. In a verse, each day a lesson is learned. A blessing is earned. I'm stressing, investing discernment. Expressing concern like Senator Bernie. Always good to know an attorney. Know what's on the other side before you turn the key. And also let the mystery emerge and free. I'm burning herbally with the urgency. It's an emergency, turn and see. The world we wish to be. Or the world to cease? What have we done to increase the peace, decrease the police, release the grief, cease the beef, each one teach one? That's why we say peace, son. Because peace ain't the word to play. It's the word to lay deep in your heart today. Hard to say, but we all have our part to play. Practice kindness, start today. See, I'm a veteran of the lettering of the lyric spirit, let it in. Face my biggest hurdles like a turtle, reticent, hesitant. Found the medicine, jettison, energy, Edison. Solar power, solar flower, each petal I meddle in. Lack the melatonin, but same skeleton. But for some, it's hell again. Red hats, no redemption. I'm feeling the tension. Lines drawn and rhymes formed to climb the mind's storm. Peace is holding strong when it's all going wrong. It's the soul of the song, the flow in the form, the growing and knowing when you're wrong. It's knowing you belong and together we are strong. Because peace ain't the word to play. It's the word to lay deep into your heart today. Hard to say, but we all have our part to play. Practice kindness, start today. Peace ain't the word to play. It's the word to lay deep in your heart today. Hard to say, but we all have our part to play. Practice kindness. Start today. Start today. All right. How's everyone doing out there? So glad to be here with you. I'd like to do one more thing if I could with the time that I have left.
Absolutely. Go for it. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. So in the tradition, you know, there's been a lot of mention of the Sufi tradition, and one of my favorite poets growing up was Rumi. And I had such beautiful experiences. I would read Rumi and I would feel things change inside me. And one of the things I learned about Rumi is Rumi was an improviser. Rumi was a freestyler and was a spontaneous poet. And thankfully there were scribes to catch those words. And so what I'd like to do is the tradition of freestyle, you know, for me, which comes out of the hip hop tradition. I'm from New York City, the traditional lands of the Lenape. And so I'd like to share a little freestyle, and to make it interactive, what I'd love to do is once I make a beat here, I'd like to invite you to share words of inspiration, intentions of peace, reflections on the beautiful words shared by our panelists. And I'm going to incorporate those and create something today, right here in this moment. All right, so here we go. One, two, it's time to freestyle with universal love and compassion. Yes, I feel nervous, but if I'm of service, then I'm not gonna feel worthless. This earth is a special place, and we gotta feel the greeting. No defeating, retreating, I got the vibration. I'm flowing through the chat, there's so many messages. It's a family tree of unity, moving and grooving. I see the music is soothing. Musical waves of peace and action. It's passion, yo, it's compassion, cause we are love. It's like a universal hug. You see, light is the key, energy, you gotta be brave. Expansive flow of peace, so I can see as I start to see it rise. As I fall it and I start to, we got hope inside of us that helps us cope. It's like a rope, not to hang, but to reach and give it when I bring on the love, cause I gotta seek. It's love, light, and grooviness, soothingness. Movie when I see it's not a movie, it's live, it's intention. Releasing the tension like Jonathan said, I really thought about your thoughts. I'm sharing and caring as we're preparing through the mystery. The mystery's the energy, yes, the golden rule. Yes, I'm flowing, no fool, but I also have to be a fool, cause I have to be humble. Be loved like the divine goddess. Shout out to my partner, shout out to my daughter, shout out to her mother. Discover as we uncover, I got that vibration so great. Relate, you are me, you are we are C. Love fits like a glove, that's why I gotta go turn into a dove. And I'm moving with the music when I'm seeking it and freeing, achieving it, breathing. Start today, create change. Only you can be with miracles, spiritual. It's the individual. You can find in the words, it's healing like the syllable. Be more. See, we wanna be the opposite of war. Explore like doves flying. Sometimes we feel ourselves crying, releasing the toxins. Shout out to the phytoplankton. I'm rocking the rhythm when I do it cause I'm a banking on all of us together to build the trust. May peace prevail on earth. And that is the intention we put inside the verse. Let's grow up and bow down and get into it. Miraculous mojo. You know I'm a flow pro. Yo, I'm shouting on everyone like we here inside of a dojo. Practice the meditation. Surrender lyrics with these tender spirits. Gratitude with attitude when I feel it, when I hear it. No more polarity. Let's be the charity. That's the clarity. You know what I mean? Forget about the vanity of calamity. Amazing rhyme and I'm blazing like time. And I want to finish in a moment cause I don't want to take up all of my time. Oneness in the music as I look at my timer. My name is Baba. You know I'm an MC rhyme writer. 26 seconds. But I may be a little more than that. Thank you for sharing with me as we explore for freestyle rap. Peace, peace, peace. Release as I start to feast. Shalom everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Lift it up when I say it, then there's no devastation. We all part of creation. Whatever your belief system. Peace, Baba. And I'm grateful for the rhythm. Peace.
Oh, that was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Bob Israel, I'm going to put you right on the spot. Will you come back and be on our show again?
I would love to. It's been a wonderful night of inspiration and reflection and connection. I feel grateful. Thank you.
I told you he was good, Scott. I told you he was good. That was awesome, Baba Israel. Thank you to Rhiannon Catalyst for connecting us. You're incredible in World Unity Week and amazing what you bring, the energy and the vibe. Thank you, brother. And all blessings, all blessings.
Just popping up real quick. People can reach you by going to, I guess, email is the best way to reach you.
Sure.
And it's his name, Baba Israel, just like it sounds, @gmail.com. Bookings, workshops, consultations in the areas of virtual exchange and performance, writing and improvisation as a healing act, and a community-focused art practice. Man, you just demonstrated that absolutely beautifully.
Well, it's my honor and pleasure, and you know you have a wonderful presence, and I really appreciate how you've kind of helped keep this all together, and just the collective effort that makes. I know what it takes to put out a virtual event, and I'm just sending you good energy and gratitude for your focus and your warmth.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, turning it back over to Ben.
How magnificent and powerful. Thank you so much, Bubba, for that great energy. I love how you said that creativity is about building community and connection between people around the world. And when Bubba and I were preparing for this show, we realized that we have daughters turning 10 years old later this week, literally one day apart, but not even one day apart, because our Saturday is going to be your Friday, and they're both turning 10 at the same time. So, that's a beautiful connection right there. So I hope your daughter has
we'll be celebrating together. I'll be thinking of you on the other side of the planet, and a lot of gratitude for that. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, and Bubba, your daughter's named after those amazing Californian trees.
That's right. Her name is Sequoia Rose, and she's a wonderful young dancer. And she's, she makes her own clothes. She's a seamstress. She's a songwriter, and she's a wonderful young spirit in the world.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, happy birthday, Sequoia Rose, and Lois and Sequoia, no doubt we'll get
Shout
to
out
meet.
to Lois.
Yeah. All right, we are close. We are honoring the way showers and the peacemakers, and how better way to do it than through music and sharing these inspirational messages. And Avon and Deborah and Jonathan, these incredible individuals, and then the musicians, which have really elevated and taken us on a journey. And there's been such a powerful spiritual presence with us. There have been people in the chat saying they can feel Bawa with us, and many other beautiful spiritual beings. Now we're about to meet another one, someone who is an extraordinary, devoted. I mean, I thank God that this man is alive on the planet right now. This is Ambassador Musi Hailu from Ethiopia and the United Religions Initiative, with a short message of peace for this International Day of Peace. Ambassador
Dear
Musi.
brothers and sisters, on behalf of members of United Religions Initiative in 112 countries, I present you greetings of peace and blessings as we are celebrating the Peace Weekend and International Day of Peace. At the outset, I want to thank the organizers of this event, especially to our dear brother Ben Bowler and Unity Earth's team. In the midst of many challenges our world is currently facing, including political instability, conflict, injustice, the global COVID-19 pandemic, and economic crisis, we have so many extraordinary people and organizations doing extraordinary work to make this world a peaceful and a better place for all. This gives us hope to see the light at the end of the tunnel. With this in mind, I want to take this opportunity to express my gratitude and appreciation to all individuals and organizations that are working tirelessly to promote hope, create a culture of peace, compassion, human dignity, mutual respect, reconciliation, forgiveness, social justice, preservation of the environment, understanding, equal opportunity for all, spiritual value, reverence for life, and interfaith and intercultural harmony. On this special occasion of the celebration of the Peace Weekend and International Day of Peace, I want to express my gratitude and appreciation for all those people that I have come to know and work with for many years, who dedicated their life to the peace work and promoting International Day of Peace, as peace is something we all need to be stakeholders. To mention some of them, Evan Matheson, Deborah Moldo, Jeremy Gill, Dr. Jonathan Granoff, Dr. Jane Goodall, Monica Willard, Ben Bowler, and many others. As the Dalai Lama once said, I quote, "We can never obtain peace in the outer world until we make peace with ourselves," end of quote. Therefore, the peace we want to see in the world needs to start from within. Peace is only possible when we start to make peace within ourselves, our families, and in our respective communities. One practical action which we can do as individuals for peace, mutual respect, dignity, compassion, justice, and harmony to prevail on earth is to live and act according to the basic teaching of the Golden Rule, which says, treat others the way you want to be treated. This divine and universal ethics of principle is the antidote to hate speech, xenophobia, and discrimination. This is also the way forward to achieve the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and to restore human dignity. In the quest for peace, we all need to work together in partnership, coming together as citizens of the world to reflect and contemplate on peace will help us to understand the interdependence of human beings and celebrate our cultural and religious diversity, and to get to know with each other and build trust, understanding, solidarity, and peaceful coexistence with all life forms on earth. I also want to emphasize on the need for all of us to join hands as we are celebrating the International Day of Peace with our beloved indigenous brothers and sisters in their effort to make concrete steps to overcome the challenge they are facing, like marginalization, extreme poverty, loss of lands and territories, maintaining their identity, traditions, and customs, as well as their cultural heritage. Let us be the instrument of peace, compassion, dignity for all, and a living example of the teaching of the Golden Rule. May peace the golden rule, and compassion prevail on earth. May peace prevail in our mind.
Yes. Wow. Thank you so much, Ambassador Musi. And you can feel I think you can feel the depth and the sincerity of his soul in that prayer at the end. Thank you for being with us and blessing this gathering tonight as we celebrate Peace Weekend in the International Day of Peace. And it's been a celebration, Scott and Deborah. Thank you so much for providing this space. And we're going to go back now to the extraordinary and the exquisite Opium Moon back in LA, playing live for us as we begin to close the show.
Oh, wow. Just fantastic.
Look at this.
Oh, my Lord.
And now we can speak.
Yes.
Actually, do we want to?
Yeah.
Can we actually hold on? Can we hear you?
Yeah, how's this? Great. Oh, what an absolutely exquisite group you are. And just a reminder, everybody stick around because we're going to hear the new album. They're going to talk about the creation of it. And as always, I again want to remind people you can go to opiummoon.com. That's 2 M's, opiummoon.com. And they've got music. And what's it been like for you all? Has it been tough with the pandemic? Are you usually a touring band?
We have toured some. Our last show was in Mumbai for the TED stage. And we almost got stuck in Mumbai because of the pandemic. And otherwise, we've been making our. Hold down in order to do that. Sorry. Hold down.
No, I just got it. I just did it. I'm not muting. I'm just turning it down.
Okay. It's been, it's been challenging, but we also make music for film and television. And
We're not getting what the beauty of what you're saying.
Yeah, the sound is wonky.
It's just because you've got both channels open. So let's just mute one of them, Lily, and let's try now. Try now.
Does that sound better?
How about now?
Yeah, that's better.
All right. So yes, we make music for film and television as well as albums. So we've just been, really, love is like water. It will find a way. We will, we make our music with that intention. And even though there's technical challenges, the intention is pure, and we've said yes. We've jumped into the abyss, or into the chasm of love for humanity, and that is what this music is about.
Beautiful. Well, stick around. Of course, we're going to dedicate our after show to you. I want to do a little bit of last business here, and maybe what you may want to do is switch to just one camera. Pick one camera and one audio channel, and I think it'll be easier for us at this point.
Do that camera, and we'll do.
I want to acknowledge Ben because he does great work, and so I want to go to his website, Unity Earth. And Ben, tell us about Unity Earth. Tell us about what you're doing and how people can support you.
Oh, thanks, Scott. This has been an expression of Unity Earth in concert with you and Deborah and the whole team. It's everything we do is in partnership. And over the last 5 years, we've been on a worldwide journey in pilgrimage through sacred sites and bringing different cultures and wisdom traditions together in some of the most powerful places on earth and building up as we go along. And now we really focus on a number of things. World Unity Week, which happens around the mid-year solstice, and this Peace Weekend. Look out for Peace Weekend next year. We have big plans And of course, there's Purpose Earth, which is a really important part of what Unity Earth is doing in the world as well. Essentially working with, as Unity Earth is, religious leaders, spiritual leaders, indigenous activists, on the ground grassroots activism, and musicians and artists, and bringing the whole thing together in a celebration of unity. And tonight has been just a perfect example of everything that Unity Earth is about. Reverend Deborah Moldo is one of our vision keepers. Jonathan Granoff's been a great spiritual and intellectual support and leadership along the way. Shabda Khan had been together in Greenland and Delhi and so much. I mean, Eric Rabuska in Ethiopia and other places, and as I mentioned earlier, Baba Israel rocked it in World Unity Week, and along with the musicians. So that's why I was so delighted and blown away to meet Opium Moon and just feel the authenticity of the heart and the brilliance of the music. And I just want to say to Lily and the whole band, watching you guys is almost as exquisite as listening to you, because you can just see how much fun you're having when you make music together. It's a really powerful, beautiful experience. So thank you, Scott. Thank you, Deborah. And thank you, everybody who said yes to this, the artists, the musicians, the visionaries. Again, primarily, if all we did together was bringing Avon and Jeremy Gilly together for the first time, it would have been a historic moment. But when you add everything else that's happened tonight, I'm sure, not the only one whose heart is full, bursting with gratitude, bursting with love and joy. And thank you to everybody who made this possible. A true, exquisite example of co-creation, Scott and Deborah. And like you do, thanking Unify and the Sign Network and John and Summer and everybody else that makes this possible, and everybody that's come in. And again, just maybe in closing for me, Scott, the International Day of Peace itself is a divinely inspired work of co-creation. It's made by many hands, and it's still unfinished. It's something we can continue to add to and build and grow year on, year out. And Peace Weekend is one way of doing that. And again, all the beautiful work that people are doing around the world. What Shabda does with the Dances of Universal Peace around the world is powerful and inspiring. What Jonathan does with his many hats is incredible. And I'm glad and delighted that another new audience gets to meet Jonathan Granoff in all of his aspects. The beautiful, the loving, the intellectual, the combation. All of that is part of, where we need to go forward. And it's going to take all of us to continue to go forward together. So just gratitude from me, and lots of hope and optimism. Blessings on your Peace Weekend and the International Day of Peace. And don't forget the Peace Wave and the Minutes of Silence. There are ways to continue to participate, and let's grow this together for all future generations. Thank you, Scott.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ben. All right. We're going to have an incredible after show with Opium Moon, so everybody stick around. I do want to just remind you about a couple things. I want to remind you that tonight we have been sponsoring and have been sponsored by and want to support purposeearth.org. So if you haven't yet, please donate to purposeearth.org. Wonderful organization, and we really thank them for their sponsorship. It's been really beautiful. And again, make sure you join us next week. And you know what? Invite your friends. Like anybody that doesn't know about Saturday Night Alive yet, next week's show is a great show to invite them to, because we're going to have some of our favorite moments from the past. We'd have a lot of wonderful things happening live. It's going to be a real celebration. So definitely join us. And then we'll be kicking off our new season, October 2nd, with the wonderful Kristen Hoffman. She actually jumped in. She joined us a little bit here tonight. She was dancing away. And Kristen's going to be my co-host on October 2nd. And we have a very special show planned for that. So it continues on. And we're excited about this. So thank you, everybody. Please share this with your friends. Let them know about it. And now it's time for the after show. And I'm going to go to, is this the camera you guys want to use? So,
Hi, so when just
Turn the speaker off, please.
When are we starting the after show? Now?
Oh, right now.
All right, well, fabulous. So we are going to be doing it from 2 different computers as well.
Okay.
Welcome to the after show. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hamid is actually going to start because
Hi, it was my true pleasure. Thank you so much. An honor to be with you guys. I love you. It was a beautiful, beautiful show, and it was so much inspiring listening to you guys and seeing how much effort you guys put for this show. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry that I have to leave. I have another engagement. I love you. It was my honor to be with you guys. Thank you.
maybe a little Farsi blessing or a little Rumi or something. No? I'm always trying to get one more thing.
Yeah, I know.
I love that.
So we want to, are we all set up with the album ready to play when we? Okay, so while I talk, I'm going to be making sure that we have the album ready to play. I thought it was done. Yeah, why don't we start with Opium Moon Night? Do you have, here, can you give him a CD? Do you have a CD to give him? Sorry, you guys, I thought this was done.
Not a problem.
But what I would like to say is, I'd like to start by just explaining, so this is called, so this album was called Opium Moon, Night and Day. And basically we love to, there's a meditative spiritual quality to the music that we make, as you can hear, but we also love to celebrate and make people dance. So we put all of the meditative spiritual stuff on the Night album and all of the joyful up-tempo pieces on the other. And so that we could, in the same way in the tradition of Indian music, where you have morning rags and evening rags, and really like morning prayers and nighttime prayers. And each of the pieces is born of a desire to, you know, an aspect of our love for the world, really. So we are setting that up, but I wanted to explain where this is coming from. And so and Itai will talk while you've got the music, right? All right, it's being hooked up.
I just wanted to I just wanted to say to again to Ben and to Scott and everyone and to Jonathan. Can we see each other?
No, you just have to talk and imagine them.
No, I gotta see them when I talk.
Well, this is gonna be, if you want this to happen, you're gonna need to wait.
So we're gonna work with technology, but
Jonathan's muted on his end.
that's okay. I just want to make sure that we can see each other.
I'm sending you the link now.
No, it's okay. Just get us back to the.
All right, there
Jonathan,
we are.
I just wanted to extend, you know, heartfelt thank you for everything. You know, your light and your connection to the light is something that continue to inform us every day when we play our music, when we write, when we carry ourselves in the world as people. So I just want to thank you personally for this opportunity.
I have some friends who are musicians and they do an invocation for more love. I can't ask for better friends.
And also, Jonathan, actually, I had a revelation last night and you were part of it. You came to me, your spirit came to me and said, come on, Lily, you can do better than that. And I said, yes, I can. And so it was a perfect, you were my spirit guide. As I was practicing my violin in preparation for this, for tonight's event, it all came to me, and it was like a call for more clarity. And you said, you can do those other things once in a while, but come on, you can do better than that. It's time. And so I really appreciate it. The reach that you have with the clarity of your intention and the purity of your heart is so greatly appreciated from us, and I know it's felt the reverberations around the world.
I just have one thing to remember. The wave discovers it's the ocean when it bows down.
Thank you. Thank you for always, shining a further light of clarity on everything. And Scott, just one thing that I wanted to say yesterday, didn't get to, but as we were speaking about the 26 qualities of quantum physics and 26, I want to share with you that the way that the source is named in the Hebrew tradition, the four-letter word, if you use in gematria, which is the calculation of the number of the word, come to, guess what? 26. The name of Havaya, as we call the name of the perpetual existence of the sources. So I just wanted to add it to the, toss that to the mix. So
Thank you. What is last night we talked on our Straight Talk show about the incredible fact that in the ancient Vedic scriptures written over 7,000 years ago, there are 26 principles or values assigned to God, known as Brahman back then, and they perfectly correlate with the 26 principles of the unified field. And so we are living in a time that our most modern science, our most ancient spirituality comes together and says the same thing. There is one extraordinary, living, unified field, call it God, call it life, call it the unified field, call it Brahman, and we're all a part of it. Like Jonathan just said, we're all drops in that beautiful ocean, we're all waves inside this one ocean of God. So with that, I am eager to hear Opium Moon's album. And you are muted. I had muted you for a moment. You're muted, so Itai, we need you to unmute.
Okay, so the first song that we're going to hear is called Opium Moon Night. The secret name of that song is Pure Freedom, and it's based on a poem by Hafez in the Daniel Landinsky rendition, and it says, "The birds' favorite songs you do not hear, for their most flamboyant music takes place when the wings are stretched above the trees, and they're smoking the opium of pure freedom."
1 minute.
And then he goes a little bit, and the poem ends with saying, "I once asked a bird, how is it that you fly in this gravity of darkness? She responded, love lifts me." So this is kind of the song, and this is what kind of our ethos in Opium Moon is, basically.
And on this song, we actually performed it in both the night rendition as well as the day rendition, because it really perspective changes everything. So this is the night version, and we're almost ready to play it. But while we're waiting, we will also just say a quick debt of gratitude to Daniel Ladinsky and also Jonathan Granoff again for having connected us with him, because he's been so gracious and he allowed us to quote the poem on the album, and with it, and actually even was inspired to do a translation of Rumi in haiku form that had previously been unpublished, and that's on the backside of the album artwork with the very limited pressing that we did. So I think
And with
we're
that
ready
in
to play
mind,
it.
I think we're ready.
It's very red.
Wild, man.
Oh, it's just beautiful.
Thank
Absolutely
you so much.
beautiful. I realize now that we can come together in peace through Tate's, because I saw you had yours. So I'll have to ask them to sponsor our next show that we do together.
Right, exactly. The next song is Wisdom, right? Do you want to,
Is that right, Lucas?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, sometimes, this world is so fast. I think Jonathan spoke about hastiness. I think we as humans, we have our own natural rhythm, and it's not metronomic, and it's definitely not the sped up way that modern culture would make us. So sometimes we try to actually go in the opposite direction and see how slow we can play something. How much can we stretch time and feeling and put as much expression into every note? As we feel that this is part of what wisdom is about, is to really be able to be present completely and to really take our time to be really present for what's happening. So the next song is called Wisdom, and it invites you to the spaces inside of you where you can take time.
Beautiful. And a question, because we hadn't talked about this before. I don't want you to feel like you have to entertain us visually. Are you comfortable? So I can screen share your album while we're.
That's a good idea.
We're dancing because we like the music. We're not performing. We're just having fun with the music.
Okay, well, whatever you're comfortable with. I mean, I enjoy watching you dance. I enjoy watching Lily eat the cookie. But I want to check in with what you're most comfortable with.
Well, if you start seeing us milling about, you could share the album cover.
Yeah,
because I'd like to just take this chance to thank the beautiful painter who contributed these paintings. I don't know if you can see, if you scroll down on that website page, there's a cute video, but if you go back to, if you keep scrolling down, let's see, there's, do we have it all? Do you know what, actually, come back to us, because we're gonna just show you the album artwork. If we only.
Oh, you had it, no, never mind, you had it, but. That's,
there it is, and then turn the other
and
side.
then, and then when you flip it over, you get that.
Okay, hang on.
There you go.
Go back one more time.
And that's the back
So
side.
that's the night painting, and so in all ways, we believe that all of our art is just different manifestations of the same muse, the same tree. We're all just different leaves on the same tree, as Jonathan said. So we called to our beautiful painter friend and said, we've got, basically, can you speak to our day and night concept with your paintings? And and he gave us these paintings to share. And similarly with Daniel Adamski's poetry. And then, and so here is Wisdom Night.
Yeah, and by the way, and we should say that his name is Norton Wisdom. And something else to note is that when we perform live, which has been way too long, he performs with us.
Yeah.
So he'll paint live on a I think I guess it's a backlit big screen that he paints, and then he can wipe it down with alcohol or whatever solution he uses. So he does a painting and then he takes a photo of it, right? So he's got it documented, then he erases it and he just goes into whatever the next thing we're doing. And it's really fast. It's really a huge part of the show, actually. And we're kind of all looking forward to getting back together with him to do this live again, because it's pretty, it's very mesmerizing. It's very magical.
And you can find him at nowisdom.com. His name is Norton Wisdom, and I'll put it in the chat, actually.
And with that,
yes, wisdom.
Here's wisdom.
Wisdom, and remember, it invites you to take a deep breath and to slow down.
So I'm coming in for a moment to ask a couple questions. First of all, a lot of people are buying your CDs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our beloved Kristen Hoffman writes, I still so much appreciate having physical CDs of albums like this, where we can dive deep into the whole journey. Yes, absolutely, Christian.
He's old school like me.
So I've got a question for you as artists. Obviously, you're exquisitely talented. A lot of love goes in. How do you do with finally saying, okay, we're complete? Like some artists really struggle with saying, okay, it's done, because you can always refine it, add. How do you all handle it? Or is there kind of a, no, this is it. We're complete with this. This track is done. How do you all handle that?
Such a good question.
It's not easy sometimes because there's four people's opinions, and so like, and sort of music isn't democratic. So at some point, something's going to win out that you have to just go, okay, mutually, let's just go. That's fine. Let's just decide and go. So, but we're all on the same page usually. So, and we all like the same things pretty much. So like in terms of what we want to hear mix wise and how much, low end, like all just the concept of everything involved. And so, so that makes it easier, but it's not like it's not like every piece was the same process. Some we had to go through different mixes, different mastering. The first record, oh my God, it was that was insane. But we got there. So,
If I'll yes, and the way we got together actually was really just spirit whispered in our ear, and we and when we got together, it was really just for a jam, but Itai and I knew it was going to be magical, so we said, yeah, let's put some mics up, let's try to record this. And literally the very first thing that we recorded ended up on our first album, because with the grace of the source, the chemistry, the musical chemistry of all of us is just, it's greater than the sum of its parts. We come together and it's just instant magic. So it's hard to know when that is done. Usually, Itai and I are the ones saying, but one more thing, I think this can be better. And it's really done so sort of, we're doing it in the same room. There's a lot of what they call bleed. So there's not a lot of separation. So it's a little bit of a challenge on the technical side, but which makes it, and basically that's caused us to take a lot longer doing it than we might have. But the result is basically the spark of magic is there from the moment we enter the room together, and it's
and go ahead.
And I was just saying, thank God we are all experienced enough to know how precious it is when you find a chemistry that strong to sustain it despite the technical, geographical, cultural differences.
And, one thing I wanted to add along with that is that none of this happens without, like with this mastering and mixing and recording process. And the gentleman who recorded the first record is a guy that I've known for a long time now, a gentleman by the name of Lucas Faring, who is here this evening, and he's in the other room. So there he is back. Wait, there he is back there. Okay. And we couldn't have done today without Lucas for sure. And Lucas also, sorry, I had to plug that back in. And Lucas also engineered the very first record here at my zone. He knows my studio really well. So I let him just run it. He, in fact, knows it better than me. But this studio that we're in now is my space. But, and this is where you're seeing right now is where we recorded the first record.
Right here, right here. Very room.
And so anyway, we cannot do all these things alone. We have help on other ends. Jeff Gartenbaum mixed it. And then on this new record, Night and Day, on the day material, a gentleman by the name of Scott Fraser, we worked at his studio, and he engineered that stuff. Lucas Faring engineered the night stuff. So So anyway, I just wanted to point that out because sometimes we forget to mention everybody that's involved, and it's, we don't want to leave anybody out if we can help it. So
God bless Lucas. Everybody.
Absolutely. And Scott, in the spirit of mentioning everybody that involves in creating the record, I think one thing that makes it a little easier for us is because everybody in the band is both producer, composer, and knows all the studio tricks in the world. And knows one of the things that we have decided from the very beginning, and was that we want to play, that if you come and hear us play live, if you hear the record and you come to hear us live, you're going to hear the same thing. You're not going to hear, in other words, this band does not depend on production. It does not depend on a million tracks. It's basically the four of us playing in a room. So our attitude from the very beginning was, okay, no overdubs, no coming back to fix it. No, it's kind of like more like jazz in a way, kind of like Miles Davis. You have 3 takes. If you didn't get it within 3 takes, what's on the record is what's on the record. Our good fortune is that because everyone in the band is such master musicians and such great listeners, is that each one, our main problem is really basically choosing what was the best take and deciding how much of it we're going to cut out, because we like to play, 20-minute pieces, and we're like, all right, we got to bring it down to short level, 12 minutes.
Which is still too long for most of us.
So mostly, like I said, because this music is not about commerce. This music is about spirit. And so it's really, the idea is like, I think it's either Rumi or Hafiz quote that says that, I want to be, I'm paraphrasing, but like, you want to be like a hole in the flute that the breath of Christ flows through.
Oh, beautiful.
And so that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to be these flutes that let this as cleanly as possible come through. And when it does, it's a one take business. It's almost very clear to us. So that's the one. And really all that's left is like, mixing and stuff. But even there, we go very minimal. We don't put a lot of studio tricks. We want you to really feel our spirits in its most unadulterated form. So this is really kind of makes it easier in terms of the production.
Beautiful.
Sometimes.
And that's also why when we play live, it's a completely different experience than now just listening to the CD. This is a great experience, I have to say. But when we play live, it's a completely different level. Because now you're experiencing it live. You're experiencing that energy, and we put a whole. It's just where we go with it, because we're all performers in that sense. And if you think about it, when you're, and this would be for my being would be. As far as any art is concerned, but definitely for what we do, we're just channels, man. This stuff is out there in the ethos, and now you're bringing it into this realm to make it real for this particular moment. Because the next time we play it, it'll be different. Mm-hmm. The melodies are the same, everything's basically the same, but it's slightly different.
There's several wonderful comments I want to read to all of you. And by the way, we've still got 132 people in our Zoom room, which is about half the number of people for the show. That they're all still with us.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much.
Hang out, we're not done yet, but we got a lot more music.
And so Sheila writes, so inspiring. Thank you for your beautiful music and insights into the process. There's a question from Dr. and Mrs. Future wanting to know what your origin story is, so we'll get to that. Claudia writes, you're so true to authenticity. We love it. Organic rhythm. Christy Michaels wants to know why opium. So that's a good question.
That will answer that.
And Catherine writes, the divine inspiration is so obvious. Thank you so very, very much. Lots of people want a blessing. This is beautiful. I just bought the CD. Gorgeous, and so on and so forth. So, awesome. All right. So why Opium Moon?
Okay, go ahead.
It was inspired by the poem, the Hafiz translation by Daniel Ladinsky, The Opium of Pure Freedom. Opium is a metaphor for really that which takes away pain, and really as the antidote to the opioid crisis, which is born of greed and addiction and tuning out. We are tuning in. So really it's really poetry. It's to conjure that which takes pain away and to really as a metaphor for pure freedom.
And again, we want to. I have to do this little public service announcement. It's not about opium.
It's not about drugs.
The thing is this, that, as we know, our culture is in a crisis when it comes to the opioid crisis, and we were the last people that want in any way to diminish the pain and hurt that this caused. So what we try to, one thing that Hamid told us, that like the idea that in the Persian culture is the opium is in a way symbolized something that takes away pain, but our main emphasis is the metaphor for freedom, not for addiction, not for dependence, but actually the idea that when love lifts you, you can really rise above and really connect to your source, to the true source, and that's freedom, and that also will connect you to everyone else. So this is, and again, believe me, we had a couple of other names that we thought of originally. We're not going to tell you now what they were, but I can tell you the one of them was Emerald Dagger. Which, as you can tell, we like the emerald part,
It's a question, this is a confluence of spirit in that ecstatic way that, in that Rumi kind of way, which is both reverential and completely divine and formless, and also appreciates the sensuality of the form. And really that also speaks to the nature of the way we make the music, which is that we all play demanding instruments, especially violin, by the way. But because we don't know what we're going to play, really. 90% of this is improvised. So you just have to prepare. It's like preparing yourself to have a religious experience, preparing yourself to have a complete surrender, and it's like preparing to jump out of a plane. You have to prepare for every eventuality, make sure that the vessel is as strong and fluid and masterful as it can be, and then you have to give it up completely. So it's the reconciliation of those two, a sort of opposite instincts is really where this music I think it is particularly challenging and inspiring.
Beautiful. I'm hopping on just for a moment. Jonathan, Ben, I put the spotlight on everyone. I went to gallery review. Anything you guys want to offer or ask or share since you started?
I was just thanking Jonathan again, and probably be thanking him forever for connecting us to you guys at Opium Movement. What a beautiful, co-collaboration here with Saturday Night Live. Feels very blessed and very beautiful. And I know that I just saw a post that John Raymer from the Sign Network has been listening to you all week on Spotify like I have, and I'm hoping that this will, in a small way, contribute to more people knowing your incredible, music's almost not big enough to describe what you do. But we got to experience it here tonight, and it's just really profound. So deep bows, gratitude, and much, much joy, Itai, Lily, and is it MD?
MD, initials.
MD, yeah, and obviously the other player. But it's good. It's just the beginning. Looking forward to further joyful collaborations. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Opium Moon. Thank you, Scott.
All right. All right. Shall we go to the next song?
Yeah.
Yes. So the next song is called Zikr, spelled Dhikr.
Pronounced Vicar.
And we actually have to thank Jonathan for helping us just decipher which was the most reverential way to spell it. It used to be called Zikr with a Z, Z-I-K-R, but Itai?
Well, again, the word comes from Arabic, and there's the letter is called Da. It's a D. It's a soft D, which in English the closest is kind of TH, kind of. It's not exactly the same pronunciation. I think originally they write it Z so people will not mispronounce it. Again, I think this is the modern. And again, Jonathan helped us clarify that this will be the appropriate modern way to write this in English. The meaning of the word dhikr is the remembrance of source, God, however you want to call it, with every breath. And again, I think Jonathan can speak much deeper to this than I can, but the idea that so appealed to us is that if we don't remember where we come from, if we don't remember our source, it's kind of difficult to find sometimes our attention now and where we're going. But if with every, a breath is a wonderful thing because it reminds us right away that without give and take, we cannot exist. We are absolutely dependent on breathing and being able to actually receive and give. And if we only do one of those, we will not be. If we only take or if we only give, the cycle doesn't exist. The meaning of this word is so deep and this practice is so deep that I can't really even speak to it. I don't know if I'm really even qualified to speak for it, and definitely not in the presence of Jonathan. And I would like actually if you don't mind, Jonathan, to add something to this. But I would say just as far as the song, that this is our feeling and what this brings out of us. Hold on. Jonathan, please, will you?
If all the trees were pens and the ocean were ink, we'd only begin to talk about the practice of zikr. Everything in creation but the human mind is in a state of remembrance or remembering with the source. Every cell in our body is resonating with life in harmony with that. And breathing is a simple way, because if you watch your breathing for a few minutes, you will realize that you are not doing it. You're being breathed. And you're breathing the gift of the lungs of the trees and the phytoplankton in the oceans. That your very breathing is an affirmation of the connectivity of your physical body. But the practice of zikr is to awaken the five senses first. Come to your senses. There's something in your eyes that sees, but you can't see it. There's something in your hands that touches, but you can't touch it. There's something in you that knows of these different senses, but you can't know it as an object because it's the knower. And then there's an awareness of these different levels of perception. And then within that, there's the intelligence that places it in an orderly fashion, all of which creates the world that we live in through symbols and forms that are the form of the intellect. Again, just like breathing, gifted to us. Then within that is the capacity of the witness, the consciousness that when you're asleep and the alarm clock goes off, you go, aha, I was asleep, now I'm awake. It was there making judgment, evaluating. And within that is wisdom, or that consciousness that can discern consciousness and realizes that consciousness is actually like a fabric of the woof and woof of love and light. And wisdom is capable of transcending the senses, the intellect, the witness, and going into the light and discerning the temporal from the permanent. But it begins with the breath. And our brother Shabda in the song, La ilaha illallah, is a practice of the out-breath of La ilaha. There's nothing other than you, O God. And the in-breath, Thou art God. Or the out-breath, I am not, because you don't create the world. Who here has created what we perceive? Who here has created consciousness? None of us. It's all God's doing. And then the in-breath, the affirmation, it is one, only He, only that, only that mystery, and to bring the feeling, awareness, intellect, judgment, wisdom, divine wisdom into focus, and then surrendering it all to the one, is the practice of zikr. But let it begin just with remembering this breath, not I, only thou. The out breath, not I. The in breath, only you. Or pick one of God's attributes of love and just breathe with the remembrance, or peace. But the zikr of wisdom is the zikr that takes us home. And that zikr is silent. It awakens in the silent teacher within. So the practice of zikr begins with the gratitude of the breath, and then the cultivation of that inner silence wherein we're capable of actually really listening.
Beautiful. Wow. Okay, Lucas. Thank you. Here we go.
So incredibly beautiful, and it just takes us into a very natural high.
Thank you.
Really enjoying just like the dropping into, listening to the bass and then dropping into your violin, and of course the incredible percussion. It's you are just all very masterful.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Jonathan, for illuminating us to the nature of it.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
We just got schooled.
The next song we want to play is called Ahava Veshalom, which is
Lucas.
Hebrew for love and peace.
This is on daytime. Day.
No, it's the next one on night.
Which one are you doing?
Ahava Veshalom.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, sorry. Next.
And you want to say anything?
Well, we write poetry, but sometimes we think that the best poetry is the most succinct one, So what more can we say after Ahava Shalom? It's love and peace. It doesn't get much more than that. If we can get these two things, I think we're gonna be all right. And we chose, we chose to use in one of the ancient tongues. In this case, it's Hebrew. In the Hebrew language, each letter is thought of to have its own complete energies of creation and its own energies, and not just the words themselves, but letters and permutation of letters inside the words. And so these two words contain a lot of the energies that we want to promote in this world. And what a better day than to say Ahava Shalom in this beautiful program. And this is it.
Go ahead,
That was a get up and dance one. Fantastic.
And we are now going to go to the Day album for a song called Opium Moon Day, which is the Day interpretation of that same melody, right?
Yes, and on this, you will hear part of the poem that we spoke about, that Hafiz poem.
title. She responded, where you know, the opium moon and pure freedom is what we talk about. And this one, so just to say, the night record was all about hypnotic kind of this kind of mood, and in the day we wanted to like get up and dance, get up, you know. So these will be more like the day record will be the up tempo dance, and you know sometimes there's records that you hear them and they sound great, and then all of a sudden there's a song that completely breaks your vibe, and you have to fast forward it. We wanted a record that when you put it on, you could completely stay in that mood until you're done. And then the next one is going to be this mood. So this is why the night and day.
And so even though this is night, if you feel like sort of, you know, if you feel like partying and dancing and getting up, these are fun songs to do that to. So we invite you to dance with us.
All
and
right.
Ben, I see that you're in Australia, so it's daytime there. So maybe you can.
That's perfect. Oh, there you go. Oh, look, water,
Yes.
the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
All right, go ahead, Lucas.
Let's go for it. Thanks. Are we stopping at 10, Scott?
Not necessarily.
Well, we were thinking maybe just 2 more songs. Left to play Feast of Sevens.
No, please.
Yeah, Feast?
And yeah, we should do Feast and then La La La.
Feast and then La La La.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 more songs. This one is called Feast of Sevens. And it's just the spirit just touched us. And it's really the confluence of 4 different cultures coming together in different keys, different concepts, and it just turning into this this magical elixir. Feast of Sevens.
Feast of Sevens.
And again, the reason we call it Feast of Sevens is, you know, we like to draw on the spiritual traditions of all cultures. This one again comes from the Hebrew tradition, and that you're supposed to count 7 weeks from, it's called the Omer, the counting of the Omer from Passover, and then on the 50th day, which is after 7 sevens, there's a special festival. It's called Shavuot, which is really the Feast of Sevens, but it's actually happening on the 50th day. So again, the interesting stuff between the number 49 and the number 50, and sevens and multiples of sevens. And as Lily said, in this song, each of us have created their part as spontaneous interaction with each other. So you see as the song evolves, you see each theme comes in and interact with each other as they're all riding this hypnotic rhythm of the Feast of Sevens. I think there was the technology got so overwhelmed by this explanation that it just simply freaked out and played it in a slower tempo.
Are you playing it 44-1 or 48, Lucas? Okay.
48.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's try one more time. 48 plus 1, 49. Feast of Sevens. Take. Sorry, guys.
All right, got a little technology.
Technology seems to be like at perplexed at the level of complexity you proposed. You want to try another one? It's very interesting when you're trying to take music, which is vibrations of pure analog, and try to put them into digital. The digital world cut things into tiny little bits that were actually somehow interrupting the actual flow of what's going on. But we will not let this interrupt us.
Well, try La La La. We might have to skip step 2. Sorry about that.
Again, if we can't play this song now, please, everyone let's listen. Please listen to it on your side again. Remember that story we just told about the Feast of Sevens. And all right, I'm going to give you an intro to the next song.
Okay, great.
Okay, the next song we're drawing on inspiration that comes from Morocco. And this is a rhythm called Ganawa. It's part of their, again, it's their mystic tradition, and the way these rhythms designed to create this kind of hypnotic state where you leave your body. It's connected to the spinning, and it's connected to a lot of basically, when there's a spin, the center is still completely not moving. And so and on the song also, we also are featuring a group of our friends called Miraz, who's Lily can tell you about.
It's a Kurdish group that lives in Turkey, and when we were on Facebook actually after the last Turkish attack on the Kurds, and I think it was some sort of like musical peace group, and I met this singer from this group, Miraz, and said, well, we realized we had the same mission, that music would be the bread and butter that would bring cultures together and cross all the boundaries and really be the template for peace. And I said, well, you have to do something with us on this record. So I sent them tracks, and they joined us on this song. It's called La La Lai, with a melody that sort of has a kind of a Hebraic folk kind of vibe with the Ganawa rhythms, with the Turks, and it's a wonderful stew.
Peace in the Middle East.
Go ahead, Liz.
Fantastic.
Here we go.
Yes.
That one rocked. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was kind of fun, isn't it?
Oh my God. Lily, how long have you been playing violin? Tell us a lot, because your violin is so dynamic. And there's times where it's really soulful, and there's times like that where it's just so high energy. What's your history with your instrument?
Oh, well, thanks for asking. Well, my mom was a comedian. Her name was Lotus Weinstock, and she used to tell people that I learned to play violin in the womb, and it was very irritating. But I actually had a dream that I could play violin when I was 7, and I told my mom, and we went to the music store, we rented a violin, and she wrote a song the day I got my violin in a key where I could play open strings and have a sense of making music right away without knowing how to play, which gave me a sense of collaboration and connection to inspiration right away without obviously the violin is a beast, but I've always thankfully been, it was a great gift that my mom gave me to connect me immediately to my inspiration. And then I played classically growing up, and then I started, I got to even play with the LA Philharmonic when I was 15, but I realized that if I really wanted to make a life as a classical violinist, that I'd have to give up everything else, and I didn't want to do that. So I thought I'd be a human rights lawyer, and I was a poli-sci major at Brown, and there I started jamming with bands because I have big ears, and started kind of playing rock and roll, and I realized that when I played that I seemed to connect to people on a level that bypassed intellect, and that it was so palpable and immediate, and I felt like my impact in the world would actually be more, first of all, my joy level was just so instantly activated and sparked by playing music, and I thought, this was probably, if I can do this and really awaken the love in people, that would be my soul's purpose. And so that's kind of been my trajectory, and I've gotten to play with many bands and make my own solo records. But the music that I love listening to is soul music from around the world, and so it's just a dream come true to play with MB and Hamid and Itai, who you've seen me loving on all night. We are married, by the way.
I am the luckiest man. Yes.
I would say so.
And
I'm married too, just not to them.
it's a marriage in a way.
Yeah, the band is kind of a marriage. Really.
Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, but it's really the language of love. It's the universal language, and I've been able to, thank goodness, I had the great honor of playing with Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, the great Sufi devotional singer, Qawwali singer from Pakistan, and I've gotten to play with, I was part of Herbie Hancock's band and Roger Waters' band. I played with him and George Clinton in Parliament Funkadelic. But in terms of music that I listen to, this is the kind of music that I've always loved. So it's just such a great thrill to make music with people whose instincts I trust and am so delighted by in every note. It tickles the ears and the soul and inspires, and the spirit of discovery and the unknown and trust it's all inextricably linked with the the spiritual evolution that I am devoted to. So thank you so much for creating this forum where we get to share this like-minded, like-hearted people. And Jonathan, thank you so much for connecting us.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
anytime you would like, we're there for you.
I'm kind of blown away that how many people on the planet have played with both Nusrat and Roger Waters? It's not exactly, and I was fortunate to see Nusrat before he passed away a few times. And so that's really quite remarkable. Since you mentioned your mother, I'm going to put the spotlight back on you guys for a minute. Last night, you told a beautiful story about your mother. And I'm always big on honoring our ancestors. Would you be willing to share the story for this audience that you shared last night?
Sure. My mom was comedian Lotus Weinstock, Lotus like the flower. She said that it encompassed the paradox of her persona. Lotus wanted to be totally free. Weinstock would settle for a discount. But she was she was this great comedian, the first woman to perform at the Comedy Store, engaged to Lenny Bruce before he died. And she was performing at the Comedy Store, and this woman heckled her, some drunk woman in the audience heckled her. She came back with some, one-liner that comedians do. She would sometimes say, there's got to be an easier way not to make a living. I can't recall any at the moment, but she would, she came back with a one-liner, and after the show, this woman found her in the parking lot and slapped her across the face. And my mom took a step back and then hugged the woman and asked her to tell her about her suffering. And she listened, and they became friends. And it was an example of how to be in this world. To always lead with compassion. It is, as you all said before, it's the greatest protection. It's the greatest way. It's the way to be in the world that allows for everything. And that was the great lesson that my mom taught me. And of course, that we see with all of the great teachers, that's really where it allows for everything. And that's the prayer, that we all can lead with compassion.
What a wonderful way for us to kind of conclude. I'm going to go to gallery view for a moment. And Ben, Jonathan, thank you first of all for being here all night. We still have almost 100 people, so people want you to dance all night, but now you can dance all night. Go buy the album.
Thank you.
Go buy the album. And I have recorded this separately, so I'm going to post on YouTube this as its own separate link. I'll send to you.
Okay. And are you saving the chat? Because we didn't get to read everything we wanted to
I
say.
will save it right now.
And could you, at some point, send the links to the YouTube and so that we'll have to, because those can always go back and be seen, right?
Yeah.
So YouTube and I guess Instagram and Facebook, or no?
Well, what'll happen is we will, this was recorded as an MP4. Tomorrow I'll transfer it to YouTube. It'll go up on our YouTube channel.
Oh, okay.
And I'll send you guys the YouTube links and the chat box.
Awesome.
And also, just to say to all, we can tell that everyone in your community is vibrating at a very high frequency, and obviously we love to, all of us on the healing team, we want to connect in every way. So if there's anybody that would like to connect with us, we would love that. And music is a way to deliver intellectual concepts that are hard to swallow. It's the spoonful of sugar, so to speak. So if we can be instrumental in helping to further anyone's cause, we're here for you.
God bless you, Leila.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It was really an honor.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. On Facebook, you can share this up with your friends. It's a great way to make new friends and to introduce Opium Moon to the world. Let's get Opium Moon out
Yes.
there.
Amen.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, everybody. And good night.